Welcome, everyone. I am Chris Gore from Film Threat. This is Hollywood on the Rocks on a Wednesday. That's right. We're live on a Wednesday, like we are every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And, well, it's happy hour somewhere. It's happy hour kind of somewhere in the world, everywhere in the world. Welcome. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us. We have a big show today. We have a very big show. Let me tell you what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to be taking another look at She-Hulk. Another look. You might call it a re-review. Additionally, we'll be talking about House of the Dragon, episode 6. Alan will be here. Alan Ng, editor-in-chief of Film Threat, will be discussing Rob Zombie's The Munsters. He has seen it. Alan has also seen Hocus Pocus 2. I have not. So we'll see how that goes. Also, the Avatar re-release. How good is the 3D? We got a larger glimpse into the sequel, The Way of Water. So we'll be talking about that. And has Quantum Leap gone woke? Additionally, a whole new segment we're just going to call Gore's Rants. I don't know, gory details. We haven't decided yet. But we have a video that I just saw that I think is great. So much to talk about. And of course, your chat questions. Thank you for being a part of it. Let's get this show going. Let's get your chat questions ready, because we're about to start Hollywood on the Rocks. Hey, Alan. How's it going, man?
I feel like I'm getting the losing end on the movie choices this week.
Well, we're going to do, I think we should do a poll before the end of the show, because for Friday's show, okay? Friday, Smile is opening in theaters. I have already seen Smile. There's some other movies opening. We're going to talk about it for Friday's show. But a movie, Alan and I can't seem to decide who should go see the movie Bros. See, I think it should be Alan, and Alan thinks it should be me.
Yeah, and let's get the caveat here. I cannot see it Thursday, so if you guys make me see it, we won't be able to review it on Friday. But if you make Chris see it, we can talk about it.
Look, we'll do a poll in the chat. We're going to get more people here. Who should go see Bros, Alan or Chris? Because it's sort of like, I think neither of us wants to go see it. I mean, it's everything about the marketing for it just looks awful. And they're trying
to be real. Let's be real. It's not for us.
I don't think it's for us. Like, to me, like in terms of gay filmmakers, give me any John Waters movie. John Waters is hilarious. This movie looks like it's specifically, I think gay audiences are going to love it. I think they're going to howl. I think they're going to get all the jokes. But based on the marketing, and I can only go by the trailers. I can only go by what the trailers are saying about the movie. It doesn't seem like it's being marketed to me, and yet they've completely flipped now. They have Billy Eichner, Eichner's like the he's the lead guy. He also wrote it, going on the street asking people to go see it. And what's funny is a lot of them say no, they don't want to go see it. And he asks them, "Are you an ally?" And I like him. I as a comedian, I think he's very funny.
His Billy on the Streets is great. I love watching Billy on the Streets.
That's a funny thing on YouTube. You can find that he does that. But like and he's a great side character. Is he a leading man material? Could you watch Billy Eichner? Is it Eicher or Eichner? Eichner. Could you watch Billy Eichner for 2 hours? Because the movie's an hour 55. It's typical like Judd Apatow, like the movie's way too long for John. Okay, wait. What was that?
Just C.D. Stein has been a member for 3 months.
Hey, C.D. Stein 69 has been a member for 3 months. Thank you. He says, "Hail, Chris and Alan in the FT chat. What's your opinion? Do you think Marvel and Feige did the Deadpool announcement to make up for lackluster D23? Well, 100% they did, because D23 was lackluster. No one cares about Thunderbolts. Let's take all the side sort of like side characters from the last 10 from a bunch of Marvel movies and let's throw them into one movie together. No, I'm sorry. It's not going to be, you're not going to recapture the magic of, they're trying to be like Suicide Squad. It's what that's their Suicide Squad ripoff. But I mean, so
I will say that coming out of D23, there wasn't a film that I said we have to see this one, or this is the exciting news of the only film I thought was exciting was the one they're doing with the Nigerian company,
Right.
Just because it's going to be something original and something that we've been wanting Hollywood to do for a very long time.
Well, let's go through some comments here before we get into it. And there's a lot to discuss. John Manilang, I ran into John Manilang I was at the AMC Century City on the west side, which I might as well have booked a flight, because getting from Pasadena to the west side, it could be 40 minutes, it could be 2 hours. You never, depends on the time of day. But John, it was a pleasure to run into you. We hugged, we took a selfie. John, thank you for your support. And I didn't realize this. John used to work for G4. He used to work for G4 back in the day. So I can't wait for him to see the documentary screening at Film Fest Tucson on Saturday, October 15th. It's an special outdoor screening, so they can get a bigger audience in there. And tickets are now, go to filmfesttucson.com. You can get tickets to Attack of the Doc. And some of the backers are going to be there. There's Michael Talbot Haynes, one of our writers, very prolific writer from Film Threat. He's going to be there. It's going to be great to hang out with Michael and John. I always love running into people who watch the show, and I guess John likes it. He's saying he kind of likes it, so we appreciate it, John. Thank you. I hope you keep watching.
Were you in Century City for Amsterdam, by the way?
I am invited to Amsterdam tonight, and I am either going to go see Amsterdam or I'm going to go see Avatar based on your review, Alan.
Okay. Well, I was supposed to see Amsterdam. I don't think I had the time to do it. So
No, you've got to do Alan. Actually, you should plug what you're doing.
Yeah, I'll be at the here. Give me a second, and
okay, I'll give you. Let me get through some more comments here real quick. Red Terror 1978, who's a member. Hollywood on the Rocks has a whole new meaning now. It needs to be stoned. Well, I always thought Hollywood on the Rocks was it had a double meaning of like drinking at a bar, Hollywood on the Rocks, but also Hollywood is kind of on the rocks, like in terms of just going down the toilet. That's kind of what I feel about Hollywood these days. Although last night I saw what I think is one of the best movies I'll see this year, a Japanese. Don't want to call it a horror film. It's a serial killer thriller called Missing. And I got to interview the director via Zoom from Japan at this live event. Alan is doing something similar tonight at the, it's part of the ACA. Why don't you throw it up on the screen, Alan, if you have the,
I don't have the website. I just
have the website.
Yeah, you don't want to see my notes, but basically, it's being put on by the Agency for Cultural Affairs from Japan. The idea is, Korea seems to be invading America with their films. Japan has a full history and full library of films that are not anime and monster films, but they're dramas, and they're really promoting that to American audiences, and that's what this event is to kind of promote American films. It's the 4th annual ACA Cinema Project Series, Emerging Japanese Films. Tomorrow I will be interviewing the most prolific Japanese director, Koreeda, I think it's Hirokazu, but he did Shoplifters, and he also has a film like Father Like Son. And then he's also got a production going on in Spain as well as Korea. And so I'll be interviewing him just as you did last night. And then we're going to be talking on Friday. We're going to do a panel about the potential of Japanese films here in America.
Well, it's a great way to discover movies. That movie Missing is actually coming out, I believe, in November. So we will have a full review of it. Yeah. And I plan to go see it again in a theater, because I saw it in a theater. Blew my mind. I don't want to tell you anything about it, but one of my favorite movies this year from Japan. And I got to interview the director, Shinzo Yamamoto, I believe. And my interpreter, which will likely be your interpreter tonight, is going to be Hayato. And the reason
I should say tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hayato is the interpreter. He was great. And the reason, because I told him this story, I said, I used to watch Ultraman when I was a kid. Oh, is that our review?
Yes,
got a 10 out of 10.
Bobby reviewed it, and we gave it 10 out of 10.
It's such a good movie. I'm just blown away by this film. It's about a serial killer, and I don't want to tell you much more than that. And it involves Twitter, and it's freaking frightening and dark, but also there are moments of levity, and you'll be shocked. So I I plan to go see it again in the theater.
Yeah, I should say this movie's playing currently at Fantastic Fest. I believe if you have the video on demand, you can see it. They also, speaking of Ultraman, they're playing Shin Ultraman.
I have not seen Shin Ultraman. I'm a big fan of Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to see it tonight. That's why I'm not going to Amsterdam. I'm gonna.
Oh, really?
I got movies to watch.
Can I see Shin Ultraman?
I'll have to give you my login credentials.
No. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I'll just rent it or buy it. I want to see it because I love Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla is like Godzilla if it was real. Like it takes it dead. It's almost people complain Shin Godzilla is kind of boring. I think it's deadly serious in the sense that it deals with like emergency services and disaster relief and like what do we do with there's a giant it treats Godzilla. It's almost like the way Christopher Nolan approached Batman. It's like we're not going to be goofy. There's not going to be, maybe some levity here and there, but there's not going to be outright jokes, right? We're going to take this deadly seriously. It takes the concept of Godzilla seriously. And that's why I really love Shin Godzilla. But yeah, so Hayato, who was the interpreter at the event, I said, oh, wow, I used to watch Ultraman as a kid, and Hayata is the lead character from the guy who is Ultraman. And he burst out laughing. He knew about the show, and he did great. He can speak, he can interpret Japanese, and it was like an amazing event. The sushi was, I didn't get in line for the sushi quick enough, so I blew it. Let's go to comments here before we're going to go through. We have a lot of reviews to get through today. We also have a special guest joining us at the end of the show. Warren from Tiger 24 is going to be here to talk to us about his movie is opening theatrically on Friday, and he needs your support. So let's go through these comments. Patrick Lemire went to the grocery store today. The Lightyear toy display remains almost untouched after months. Disney finally did it. They turned Toy Story from a merch juggernaut into Rose Tico dolls. There was a website selling a dozen roses, and it was 12 Rose Tico figures in like a little display. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't. But I mean, I was okay with Lightyear in terms of it as a film. But again, studios need to start making movies that people want to see. I think ultimately that's it.
That's absolutely key. We're going to talk about that on Friday when we talk about all the mainstream movie releases. Fur to the Future, who's a member, thank you. Hail Nerds. Alan Horkin, a member. Agree with Scott. Kudos to the artist who did the thumbnail. That is Glenuccio. You can subscribe to his channel. Glenuccio is modding. He's doing videos. I'm amazed at his work is incredible. Latino Slant, who's a member, send a gay reviewer. We could. We have gay writers who write for Film Threat.
Yeah, but our gay writer I know doesn't want to see the movie.
Oh, is it Norm?
Yeah. I've offered him a lot of these films, and he's like, no.
This is funny. So our gay writer who writes for Film Threat, one of our gay writers, is Norman Gidney. He has a great website called horrorbuzz.com. He doesn't really like gay films.
No, he does. He likes the dramas.
Okay, all right.
He doesn't like the comedy.
Correction. But I have a friend of mine who's a director who also happens to be gay, and he does not like making gay movies. He says they're just boring. A lot of them are boring, insufferable, and whatever. I mean, Bros at least looks like it has a sense of humor. So one of us is going, Alan. It's either going to be you or me. We're going to let the chat decide.
Just saying, if we want to talk about it on Friday, you need to send Chris.
Is the poll up yet? Is the poll up yet?
I mean, I'm seeing a little bit in the chat, but no one's saying anything.
Shucksy. Oh, and by the way, shout out to Shucksy. Shucksy sent me another letter, but he made it much more clearly. It's more legible, is what I'm saying. It's more clear, so I can read it. Shucksy, should I read it? Okay, I'm going to read it. Hey, Chris, thanks for letting me know you got my letter. That was so awesome. I'm trying to write a little neater. Since you had trouble reading the last letter, I said thank you for recommending SLC Punk, the movie. I saw it a few months back. Love the punk rock attitude, but I'm not so down with getting into lots of fights. I don't like anarchy, and I love America. But I'm down with freedom, anti-corporation, individuality, and I fell into the fashion before I even discovered punk. Tell Alan's nipples I said hi, much love, Shucksy. Thank you, Shucksy. And he puts nothing else in here. Like you put a self-addressed stamped envelope. I could mail you something. And then also, by the way, some latest things. I just want to brag a little bit. I got a Blu-ray. Psycho Gorman Blu-ray that comes with an action figure of Psycho Gorman. It's a box set here, a little box with the Psycho Gorman figure. Check it out. How awesome is that? Look at that. That's out on Blu-ray. Love it. And then somebody sent me this with no note. Look at this. What is this? I mean, it's whiskey, right? Is this whiskey or
Scotch, maybe?
Yeah, it's a blended whiskey, yes, infused with natural black currant. So that's good for the holidays. Who sent this? And I'm literally looking all over, no note in the box. They just sent it. Look at that top. Look at that top on there. That's so awesome. So thank you, whoever sent this. I owe you, and hopefully someone in the chat will claim that. Here we go. Patrick Lemire, Alan hulking out. Yeah, Alan will be on the next thumbnail when we talk about She-Hulk. Hank VP is a member of that. Hulk Chris, yes. Glanuccio is killing it. And Glanuccio, I want to say, stay safe, Glanuccio. Stay safe. He is in Florida, the new resident, and to all of our friends that are in Florida right now, please stay safe.
Absolutely.
Shelter in place. Hopefully you've moved on and you've gotten your supplies at the grocery store and you're doing okay, and this thing will just diminish. So there you go.
Glanuccio just arrived in Florida. And,
yes, great welcome. Great welcome gift for Glanuccio there. Womp Biscuit says, R.I.P. Louise Fletcher. Oh, man.
Yeah.
She was in, she was in
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Yeah. Her evil Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was incredible. And her grandmother in Flowers in the Attic was one of the most overlooked villains in cinema history. Yeah. She was also in a Christopher Nolan movie. You know that movie. And there you go.
She was in Deep Space Nine, by the way.
That's right. Yes. Fur to the future, Hocus woke us. Alan will tell us. Gabriel, Chris looks more menacing in the thumbnail than current MCU Hulk. That was me. If you go on my Instagram and you scroll way back, you'll see that I did sort of a split screen of me and the brown Gargantua. And I feel like we had similar haircuts. My hair looked really weird. Amanda Nowicki, I cried when I saw the Hocus Pocus 2 trailer. It wasn't tears of joy. Oh, Amanda Nowicki, I'm sorry. Caleb Murphy, Chris should watch Bros. His annoyance at the movie is going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to make this democratic. Vote. You know what they say, vote. If you want me to go see it, vote. Eichner's Man on the Street interviews are funny, but he'd probably be insufferable for 90 minutes. Not 90 minutes. The movie's an hour 55.
No.
Yes, it is almost 2 hours. Smash that like button like a bro. Hank VP says Bros requires both Alan and Chris to see it together. They must also see it seating next to each other with the chair arm raised up. Oh my God.
And our hands on each other's knees.
A Maggot, who's a member, thank you. We got him. Finally pressured him to rescind his She-Hulk statements. Wait for it.
I think your friends got you.
Wait for it. Wait for it. We're gonna get to it.
I think the pressure's gotten to you. That's what I'm
No,
doing.
it's actually not the pressure, it's the actual show. But we're gonna talk later. Let me go into detail later. Shelby AC, just FYI, Dan Roebuck, who plays Grandpa, also had a part in The Fugitive, is a super nice guy who really loves the original Munsters. I hope he gets a kind word about his performance. We'll see. Patrick Lemire, put the Walt back in Disney and it'll suddenly be a license to print money. CD Stein 69, seems like Bros put every bad gay stereotype in, and why wouldn't that community not want this? And Alan should be the one to go see it. What if it's a tie? Should we have like, okay, have we done this poll yet? We should go Chris, Alan, or Chris and Alan holding hands. Something like that.
I'm hoping Glanuccio is doing it because I have no idea how to do that.
Amanda Nowicki will Film Threat review at least the first episode of The Last of Us. Yes, I saw the trailer. I actually thought the trailer looked pretty good. It's The Mandalorian with zombies. So there you go. Hey, anomalous content says, hey, Chris and Alan, wondering if you guys are aware of what Max Landis is doing on his YouTube channel with his DC fanfic project, The Kryptonian Epic. based off of his Superman American Alien run. I'm not aware of it. I have known Max Landis only because I've run into him at San Diego Comic-Con and other events, but I'm not aware of. I knew he did that like little sort of mini documentary about the death of Superman comic, which was great, but yeah, I'm not aware of that. I'll have to check it out. All right, we're gonna have to get through no more chat questions. I got to get through these quick so we can actually start the show. Scott says Shin film threat. Shelby AC says Hirokazu Korida's films are incredible. He's unbelievable. I've seen all his movies. That's awesome. Leroy Russell for 5. Thank you, Chris. Is one problem that they want to make one movie for all instead of catering to different tastes with multiple movies, then get mad when we hate it? I just prefer something that's more authentic for a specific audience. And I also think that like, I like when things can be broadly like, look, I'll watch a show where there's a female lead and I am with the protagonist of that show and or movie. I don't think men have a problem doing that. I think when it's like you make all men the enemy, like why am I watching it if you're just gonna mock like I mean, look, it'd be just as bad if it was the opposite, right? So
it was a law firm where all the women were bimbos and
and then they just sort of mocked how stupid women were. Like, I wouldn't watch that. I would not like that. That would be bad. Let's not do either of those things. VDR, Alan has secretly been buying up all the Rose Tico figures off of eBay. I don't think you have to buy them off eBay.
I know.
I think
and quite frankly, they don't cost that much either.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, Toxic Waltz, N8. Hocus Pocus 2 is awful, right? Looking at the trailer, it seems like it continues the Disney trend of making the villains actually victims who were misunderstood. Interesting. Leroy Russell, back for 2. Do you do games? If so, interview BioWare November 7th. We don't really cover games. If there is a movie connection, we could cover it. But yes, we don't really cover games per se. Sorry, Leroy Russell, but if there's, I mean, I talked about Cyberpunk 2077. So yeah. Oh wait, CD Stein 69 for $1.99. It was from me for when you're on in October. I am doing CD Stein 69's podcast, which you should subscribe to it. It's Nerds, Geeks, and the Kitchen Sink podcast. There you go. He sent me a mug. He sent
You're talking about the booze?
Whiskey. He sent me the whiskey. Thank you, CD Stein 69. That's awesome. Leroy Russell, hey, in Florida here, I will stay tuned, even if it means while floating around Jacksonville on a raft, lol. Hey, stay safe, Leroy, please. Just, you know what to do. You've probably been through it. And Shuxy says, love you, Chris. Thanks for reading my letter. Well, thank you for sending it. Next time, send me a self-addressed envelope. I'll send you something. Bill T, why does Alan always have an Avenger in underwear in the background?
Like that's Thor in a Speedo.
Thor in a Speedo?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Kicking butt.
Toxic Waltz N8. There's now some actor complaining that Brendan Fraser was wrong to star in The Whale because he in real life is not an obese gay man. Okay, can we just like drop this? It's so stupid. Like the actor's job is to not be who they are. You know? The characters in James Cameron's Avatar are also not aliens. They're not Na'vi. So ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We all know it's ridiculous, but you know, I guess.
Well, if you follow the logic, Ian McKellen can now only play gay characters,
which is stupid. And I don't think anybody ever really cared that. I can't think of anyone who ever mentioned it. Not one person who ever mentioned it. It's so bizarre. Matthew Hammond for $4.99. After watching Rob Zombie's The Munsters, does Alan think that it was colorized after the studio complained that it was in black and white? We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We're going to talk about it. And off topic, I received my copy of ESOM #1. It is definitely quality and was packed well. Yeah. Great. I ordered mine and I'll get it when I get it.
Mine is coming in tomorrow.
Yours is right. That's great. Yeah. That's awesome. But let's do this. Let's put Alan front and center here. to review the Munsters because I want to hear, Alan, how is Rob Zombie's The Munsters? Your honest review. I want to hear it right now.
Yeah, we're going to kind of go into this with Quantum Leap, but if you're going to remake a series, you've got to sort of honor what was great about the original series. And at least the first half of Rob Zombie's The Munsters, it goes really out of its way to not do that. The movie is basically split up into two sections. The first takes place in Transylvania, where and this is an origin story of the Munsters. So Herman is being built in a lab, and they're supposed to put the brain of a highly intellectual scientist into his head, but of course they don't. A little nod to, or a ripoff of Young Frankenstein at that point. So they're building Herman, and then Lily and Grandpa, or as they call him, the Count, they are living well in their mansion, but their werewolf brother Lester has squandered his debts. He needs to sell the mansion and needs to find some money fast. And so through a series of events, Herman is born. He becomes this kind of stand-up comedian. He just tells jokes all the time. They're mostly dad jokes. But Lily finds herself attracted to him. They get married, and then Lester swindles Herman into signing over the house that he had just got through the marriage. And now the Munsters are forced to move to Hollywood. And so let's put it this way. The first half of the movie is them in Transylvania. It's bad. It's god awful. It's basically a bad improv show. What they've done is they've taken a room full of actors who created these characters, and they're just riffing off of each other, trying to say funny things, calling out their jokes. It's just really bad comedy at this point. The bright spot, though, I will say is, let me just grab the name here, is Jeff Daniel Phillips, who plays Herman. He is the best thing about this show. He doesn't do an impression of Fred Gwynn. Fred Gwynn has kind of a deeper bass tone to his voice. Jeff Phillips here has a more higher baritone to it, so the tone is much higher. But everything about the romance between him and Lily works for the movie that we have here. It's a very lame comedy. It's a very low-key, lowbrow comedy. I'd throw it in there kind of at the Troma, the full moon level kind of comedy. When they get to America, it kind of picks up. You start to feel familiar with the show. I think the second half is definitely better. It's almost as good as the original series, and that's not saying a whole lot. But it's just kind of like, I don't know. They had the opportunity to make the Munsters, and they made the Munsters, and here we have it. To the question of color in black and white, for some reason, it just works in color. I'm sorry, it works in black and white. I'm gonna get killed on that one. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about this. Oh, the heart of the Munsters is basically it's a monster family living in a normal neighborhood, and people don't really recognize the fact that they're monsters. They just realize that they're strange people, and I don't think they quite got there. And I think there's something about the black and white that kind of I don't know, lends a lot of weight and gravitas to that monster, to the genre, and I just didn't feel like it worked here. So I just say for the most part, it's a pass. But if you're curious, go and see it. Pat Priest and Butch Patrick do voiceover cameos in it. But yeah, you watch the trailer, you're gonna you know what you're gonna get right away.
Well, Alan, it sounds awful. I think it sounds awful.
In the end, it gets better when they actually do the Munster plot line, the Munster story. It's good, but it's not as good as the original series. The first half is just bad improv. I'll put it that way.
All right, let's go to comments about your review and discussion of the Munsters. It looks awful. I think I've seen the trailer. I'm not interested. I love the original Munsters. I know a lot of it is dumb, but I love the Munsters because I would watch the Munsters. I'd watch the Addams Family. They're both in black and white. They both feature, they're like family dramas, family dramas with monsters, right? And I love the fact like how devoted, like, Herman is to his wife. Same thing, with, the Addams Family.
Yeah.
Like they have that like family dynamic that just works. And so I love the original Munsters, but this just looks god awful.
I mean, there's elements of that in the, like I said, in the back end, but you have to get to there. And I'm afraid you're just going to shut it off before you even get to what seemingly is the good part.
All right, well, let's go through these comments here. Patrick Lemire says, except for the black and white homage to the TV show intro, the trailer hurts my eyes.
Yeah.
Fur to the Future.
They recreate the opening. They recreate the opening and they do it in color.
Oh, God, so bad. Fur to the Future. That's dumb. The whole point of the joke is that they are just a normal family next door. Laughed my ass off.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat can't wait for the Munsters black and white version. That's Frankenstein, says Fat Elvis. Want Biscuit says, sounds like Beverly Hillbillies, but instead of rednecks, it's creepy, ghoulish types. And Patrick Lemire says, origin stories of long existing properties are unnecessary and often harmful to the original IP.
Yeah.
Fur to the Future, Rob Zombie is not a good director. I think when he does that kind of gritty horror, I think he definitely has, like, he definitely is able to hit a tone that works. But Munsters, no, they're just using his name. They're using his name to promote it. Matthew Hammond for $9.99. Oh, let's get to that when we talk about. Yeah. I feel bad for Dan. This was his dream project, and it's just bad, says Shelby AC.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he's pretty good. I wouldn't say I wouldn't call him, grandpa in this one, but
Finger says the aesthetic of the Munsters looks like a cheap haunted attraction. That's what it looks. You know what it looks like?
Yeah.
It looks like those videos that they play while you're waiting in line to get on an attraction. Like that's the production quality.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you could see in the picture in the background that kind of black light neon effect. I mean, that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Look at the color tone of this background here, and you'll see.
Yeah. And then Patrick Lemire says Fred Gwynn was an amazing comedic actor. Bob Garland says, I didn't hate the Munsters. It just felt like more like a TV pilot than a feature film. And Patrick Lemire, Rob Zombie is grunge J.J. Abrams. Gritter and Masters, does Film Threat need any help? Yes. Go to Film Threat. Wait, where is the banner? The banner is somewhere. Just you can contact us. Go to filmthreat.com/contact. We could just use help with mods and other shows that we have coming down the pike. But yeah, we can always use help. Glanuccio would like a day off. Glanuccio is in the middle of a hurricane in Florida working on the show. So yes, we could definitely use the help. So thank you, Gritter and Masters, for that. Tucker Time. Watched it last night. Zero plot. Just scenes strung together. Waste of everyone's time.
Yeah.
When Jeff Tucker is not busy, he should come on this show. I know it's haunt season. Not Scary Farm is in full effect. Jeff, you're going to join me. And Tucker Time goes on. The film in quotes looked like a Smash Mouth video circa 1999. Oof. That's bad.
Wait till we get to Hocus Pocus.
And the new Munsters misses the mark because the original show had high production value, despite the goofy premise. Zombies version looks cheap, says Gabriel Hernandez.
Well, it was filmed in Hungary, by the way.
Was it really? That's so
it was. They built the Munster home in Hungary.
Inanimous says it looks way too colorful to be a Munsters show. Yeah, it's sad, but it is what it is. Let's go through some of these questions that are non-Munster related. I'm going to change our background up here. Let's just get to some of these comments here real quick. Matthew Hammond, does Quantum Leap feel like a repeat of Timeless? Alan, did you watch the second episode yet?
I did watch the second episode. I've not seen Timeless though, so I can't.
Did you want to do a episode 2 review?
Yeah, we can do it real fast.
Okay, let's do that right now. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
How about this? I like this headline better.
It's getting there.
All right, Alan.
Quantum Leap is getting there. So this is the problem with the show, and I mentioned it last time, and I'm more succinct this time. The original show was always about Sam and Al. They were the ones in the show. They were the ones interacting with the people. But this one, over half of the show is about the technology and getting Ben back. And it's this team that has, they're all concerned. How do we get Ben back? How do we get Ben back? So in this episode, Ben gets placed in the body of an astronaut on the Atlantis space shuttle. They go up into space. One of the crewmen is seriously injured and dies, so he has to save his life, and so he does what he needs to do. He has to do a spacewalk. He saves the shuttle, but then he doesn't get zapped off, and so they have to continue to figure out what's going on. And so the message that they're telling in this episode is basically the women on your team, they need to be heard. They don't explicitly say that, but it's very clear by the language, by the overuse of the gendered word her or she. You can tell that the whole thing is about listening to the women in your group. On the space shuttle, there is a veteran pilot who is injured. When he gets back, he takes over, and he's about to make a decision that is going to kill the entire crew. And then Ben has to basically encourage his female co-pilot to stand up for herself and be heard. And of course that saves the day. And then at the lab, Addison, who is Ben's fiance, but Ben doesn't know it because his brain is in Swiss cheese. She's kind of going rogue here. And the reason she's going rogue is because she doesn't believe that if she says what she believes is going on, that she won't be heard. And they tell her, look, Ben, when Ben was with us, he was this great leader, and he listened to everybody, and then it's one of these things where they have to tell you how great Ben is rather than show you how great Ben is. And of course they finally hear her, and all is saved. And so there you go. If we're not headed down a woke direction, I don't know what is. Whoops. You're muted.
Yeah, Alan, I have some questions for you.
Yes.
Well, first of all, it's not the first, but it's important. It's a network show with an Asian lead.
Yes.
And
love it.
How do you feel about that this is such a disappointment for you?
Yeah, I'm grateful that not only is there one Asian, not only is the lead Asian, which we rarely see outside of an Asian-led show, but there's another Asian on the team. Personally, I love it. I it's like, again, I've spent my entire life watching Caucasian content. It's great to see an Asian in the lead. At the same time, can't you give us better scripts, better stories? I mean, I'm just so disappointed that it's happened. This is the trend of Asians in television, in Asian shows. They're so bad that the network cancels them, says, well, we tried it, and then won't try it again for a long time. All American Girl with Margaret Cho was a sitcom, Asian-led sitcom, failed, and it wouldn't be until 10 years later that Fresh Out the Boat comes. And that's the feeling you get is, look, we gave you your chance, you blew it, so why don't you wait 10 years and we'll give you something else. If I wasn't such a big fan of the original Quantum Leap, I'd probably let it go, but I'm just so upset on so many levels with this show, and it's definitely heading down a bad direction.
Well, are you gonna, first of all, a couple quick things before we go to comments here, but are you gonna keep watching it so we can get your review every week?
It will be hate watching if I continue going. If people, it's kind of like if people want me to keep talking about it, fine.
All right. Okay. I don't know if we put up that poll yet. Okay.
No, so you want a poll that's going to make me see bros.
No, wait. I'll do you one better. Okay, you have to keep watching Quantum Leap, but then I have to go see Bros. Can we make that agreement?
Yeah, the chat wants that. I mean,
is that what the chat wants?
Oh my god.
All right, so you got to keep watching Quantum Leap because I want to hear about episode 3.
Maybe they'll cancel it soon. Maybe.
Yeah, look, you're not going to have to watch it for very long. That's my guess. But
yeah, it should be. The original series was about Sam being placed in the shoes of people that are not him, who are in situations that he never went through, and it allows him to get empathy about what was happening during the 60s, during the civil rights movement, during Vietnam. That was the point of the show, and that's what science fiction is all about. This one is not about that. It's about Sam leaping into an astronaut and then figuring out how to save this ship. It's not about what being human, except for, giving us these woke messages now.
Yeah. Well, we have 2 comments from Matthew Hammond here. It was woke from the beginning, says Matthew Hammond. Thank you for that. And Matthew Hammond says, does Alan feel represented by the Asian diversity hire that they did not trust to carry the show, like white actor Scott Bakula, and have to add a conspiracy because time travel is not interesting enough? Thank you for your super chat.
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing up a great point here. They're not even giving him a chance to have a character that has the weight of Scott Bakula's character. They have no faith in this actor to be able to pull off the Sam role, so to speak. And so they got to add all this other stuff to it that just waters the show down.
All right. Well, real quick, we'll go through the comments, and we've got so much stuff to talk about. Like this show, it seems like we always, no matter how hard we try, there's like a couple things we miss every episode. So unless we start going to 3 hours, everybody in the chat who's a member, thank you. Quantum Leap Girl Power, says Amanda Nowicki. Fingers, why don't they just reuse script scenes from iconic shows and movies word for word? Might seem like a better investment at this point.
Didn't they do that with Psycho?
They did that with Psycho. It didn't quite work, but I do think you got to kind of update the scripts, but not necessarily update the sort of core of the story. Anonymous, so the women save him. How surprising. That is never a trope in modern media. Bird of the Future, why do all of these remakes just choke? You have the story right there. Just do that. Scott says, been there, dumb that. Fat Elvis, Ernie Hudson deserves better. Yeah. Everybody in the chat, did they kill off the non-binary character?
Yeah. Well, he did have this kind of cute bedazzled floral print underneath his suit jacket. And I think he needs more a deeper shade of red in his lipstick. Or I'm sorry, in their lipstick.
VDR says Alan's getting his Asian card revoked after this review. Alan,
I think they revoked that a long time ago.
Fingers, as someone who identifies as Alan, I enjoyed it. Hey, fair point. Yep. Fair point. BMO Better says the chat is always right. Yes, the chat is right. Just like the sea. The chat is always right. I knew the reference there. That's great, BMO Better. Jason Falter, great shows with Asian leads or co-leads. Into the Badlands, Dark Matter, Deadly Class, and a lot of stuff. I mean, not like we need to say this, like a lot of stuff from Korea, a lot of stuff in. I watch Extraordinary Attorney Woo on Netflix.
Warrior. I love Warrior.
Yeah,
I can't. I don't know if they're doing a season 3, but I'm in on that one.
Anonymous, Hollywood can't write good characters of any ethnic type, with rare exceptions these days. I just think that you just need to write a good story, and then it doesn't matter necessarily what the ethnicity of the person is. Like, it just shouldn't matter. It should not matter because you're so engaged with the story and the circumstances of that person. Say, for example, the first the Creed movie. The first Creed movie is great. It's a great film. It's different. It's not Rocky, but it has, it has the elements, right? And I don't know. There's a bunch of them. There's so many where it's just about the character.
Well, Nick Fury. I mean, look.
Yeah, he's a badass. Scott goes on to say, actually, I want Alan to not watch Quantum Leap and both to hold hands at Bros.
Oh,
Well, the problem with that is Alan is in Anaheim area, and I am in I'm closer to Burbank. There's no theater for us to go see it, I guess. So, yeah. CD Stein 69 says, well, there's an Asian in the Bros trailer, so you can see more representation. He should be glad to see both. And Toxic Waltz N8 says, Warrior Season 3 now in production. And Guest Us became a member. Thank you for that.
thank you.
Fingers for $4.99. It's my first time catching a live stream. Hearing Chris read my chats melts my heart. Oh, thanks, Fingers. Yeah, well, this is we're doing the live streams, right? And then we spin off the individual reviews, but the live streams are way more fun because you get to be a part of it. And then Lubitsch touched me. What about Selfie?
I actually kind of like Selfie. I know it's a bad show, but I like Selfie.
All right.
It's a horrible title. I'll say that.
Well, before the end of this stream, we are going to figure out who is going to go see Bros. It may have to be both of us, but I'm comfortable making the trade with Quantum Leap with you.
Well, yeah, if I'm lucky, they'll cancel it by next week. And
yeah. But let's switch gears. Let's switch gears here. It seems like you're reviewing everything today.
Oh, dear God. Yeah.
Alan, I'm sorry to do this to you.
And now you want me to watch Bros too.
I feel like you've taken so many hits for the team. I should just get Bros.
I need to say, I don't know if Bros is good or bad. Maybe it could be good, but it wasn't made for us.
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling I get. And what's weird is I went to look at like what ticket sales were like, and the theaters are not full.
Yeah,
it's on like 3 screens at the Burbank AMC 16, and it's not filling up.
You know what's interesting? I just saw Chris Wallace has a show on HBO Max, and he interviewed Tyler Perry, and he talked about Medea and the fact that the Medea movies never got any critical acclaim whatsoever, but it made Tyler Perry and his production company millions upon millions of dollars. And it goes to this idea of, film doesn't have to be made for you, but it has to be made for an audience big enough to support that film. And Tyler Perry has built an entire film company on the back of Medea.
A studio, actually.
Alan,
I'm sorry to do this to you. Alan, I'm sorry to do this to you. It's time, Alan, for you to review Hocus Pocus 2, and I'm sorry to do this to you. The movie came in. As soon as I saw that we got it, I said, I have no interest. Alan, will you do me a solid? Will you see Hocus Pocus 2? What are your thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, so I should qualify a couple things. One is I never saw the first one, and I feel like it's for the same reason it wasn't made for me. I have 2 women in my house, my wife and my daughter. They love the first Hocus Pocus movie. They would not see this movie with me, and for one big reason, because for them to watch this movie with me, they'd have to watch it with my email strewn right across the front of the screen. And they said they'd much rather wait until it actually comes out on Disney Plus to watch it before seeing it. So I got to see it before them. So there's a bit of an origin story of the Sanderson sisters, but it's the story of 3 teenagers. And Chris, let me ask you, what word could you use to describe this group of 3 teenagers?
Diverse.
That's right. But diverse except for what?
There's no white people.
No, there's no Asian in this.
There's no Asian.
Group.
Oh, no Asian. Okay.
Yeah, so there you go. I honestly, I don't care, but when you go out of your way to make something diverse and then you leave one of the diversity targets out, I have a problem. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that. So if I'm understanding right, this is more or less it's definitely a sequel in the sense of Sam. I want to say Worthington. I don't know if that's his name, but Sam Richardson. He plays this guy Gilbert. He runs the Sanderson Museum. He is kind of wanting to resurrect the sisters, such as in the first film. And he does. And if I'm not mistaken, so what happens is, in order for the sisters to survive, they have to suck the souls out of virgins, and they have to do it before sunrise, or they die. And so that's essentially the plot here. They're going after our three heroines. Two of them have been dabbling in magic for a little bit, and so they've kind of been learning certain secrets about it, like salt becomes this impenetrable barrier from the witches, and so ultimately, and then the ultimate goal here, though, is they go back in time. They give us the backstory of the Sanderson sisters. The oldest one, Winifred, she was betrothed. Or no, she was forced to marry the son of the mayor. She refused, and that's how the sisters got kicked out of their community. They want to exact their revenge because the mayor's descendant, who's played by Tony Hale, is there, and they want to kill him. And so that's kind of the plot. And one of the girls is the son of Tony Hale, the daughter of Tony Hale. And so there's this wacky adventure of stopping the Sanderson sisters from doing it. And so not having seen the first one, I'll just give you my feelings. This feels very much like a Disney Channel film, but with three high-powered stars: Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy, and Sarah Jessica Parker. It's, I would say that if you were a fan of the original, I think you're going to be okay with this one. Things that stuck out to me was, the sisters here are basically the Three Stooges. Sarah Jessica Parker gets slapped around quite a bit in this movie. She's kind of the klutz, the curly of the crew. And it just kind of plays out like a typical Disney story. There's not a lot of weight behind it, even though life and death is on the line, but it's told in a very tame way. And I think I would just assume that if you like the first one, that you're probably going to like this one. But ultimately, this movie's not for me. And, I appreciate certain things about it, but it's not, I'm not the target audience, and I'm not loving it the way I know a lot of people love this movie.
Well, let me just say that, Alan, no matter how good your review of Hocus Pocus 2 was going to be, I'm still never going to see this film.
Have you seen the first one?
I remember that it existed. I never saw it.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. I don't think it's for us, and I don't care. But a lot of people were excited about Hocus Pocus 2. Yeah. Excited about it coming out. And I get it. Like, there are certain, look, it's just not for me. I have no interest in ever seeing it. So thank you for seeing it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say, I think, the witches are still evil. There's not a turn where they turn good. Well, sorry. Maybe they won't turn good.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, maybe they won't. And there are ways to kind of progress things, but I don't think it's in a way that's going to overly, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a woke movie, or an overly one where you see it kind of going that direction.
The problem when you mention like Disney Channel movie, I know exactly what you're talking about. There's almost it's just gentrified content. Mm-hmm. It appeals to no one, and it's meant to entertain everyone, and it entertains no one. It's just, it's so broad, and it's like what you would describe as milk toast. Yeah. It doesn't taste like anything. There's nothing about it that's unique. It is content for content's sake. This is the kind of thing that you could describe as content.
Yeah. I mean, I think it appeals to the preteen girl audience, which is very Disney Channel. I would say Disney Channel thrives and lives in that zone. And I can't, it's hard for me to judge it, but based on what I saw, I mean, I think they're hitting their target here.
All right. But your bottom line is no. Good.
No, but my wife and my daughter will watch it, and I'm pretty sure they'll love it.
Wait, speaking of that, did your wife drag you to Don't Worry, Darling?
No, I told her about it, and she's like, meh.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Yeah. I saved you money. Yeah. But real quick, we have like 400 people watching us right now live on the live stream. Please smash that like button, slap the like button, and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, because we appreciate that. Oh, wow. And before we also get to the chat questions, it's always fun to remind people that, yes, our reviews are delicious.
fucking shit. These reviews are delicious.
So there you go. Our reviews are delicious. Let's go to the chat.
All
see
right.
what people are saying here. Willie, the epic Monkey King, Hocus Pocus 2 sucks. I'm shocked, I tell you. Shocked. Fur to the future, all of these women from the 90s that are waiting for Hocus Pocus 2 will know the pain of Star Wars fans by the end of the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine Hocus Pocus, the original, was this grand masterpiece of excellent writing and storytelling. And I feel like you're going to get what you got with the first one. I can't imagine it's going to be worse.
Amanda Nowicki says the Sanderson sisters did not need an origin story. The mystery behind the characters is what made them fun. And Shelby AC says, take time to take your movie medicine. And Matt Rule says there were no Asians at all in the super woke live action remake of Beauty and the Beast either. True.
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. Scott says Asians get overlooked because y'all are low key the goat. Luther Talbert says, I used to love Bette Midler, and then she got on Twitter. Yeah, she kind of went on a Twitter meltdown. They're like pissed off a bunch of people. So whatever. And then, wait, comment here from Red Terror 1978 says, see if Ryan Cannell will go with you to see Boys, Chris. Well, first of all, he's in Florida right now. He's probably, I don't think they're going to be showing movies much this weekend. So
but he could certainly brave the hurricane to see Bros.
He could brave the hurricane to see Bros. But that would be the funniest thing ever. I tried to get him to go to the Star Wars hotel, the Galactic Star Cruiser. You know, we haven't really heard much about that. Are people still going to the Star Wars Galactic Hotel?
You know, I see ads. I see ads.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, no, Ryan will not. Although I sent Ryan a couple of Bros videos, and I think he played them I know he played one of them during a live stream. They were real proud. They did this little featurette that the entire cast is gay. The entire cast is gay or bi or, you know, like, I don't know. Should that matter? I don't know, man. But thank you for your comment there. Wait, where did I leave off? Fear the Turtle 21 says, I love Hocus Pocus. It's standard Halloween viewing for me. I'm going to watch the sequel. I have to, but I'm not super optimistic. Seems like sequels coming 20 years after the original rarely work. Yeah. And Lauren Masters just asks, and Lauren Masters, always love chatting with you on Twitter. How bad is it? How bad is it? Can you do a 1 to 10 on Hocus Pocus 2?
On Hocus Pocus, I give it a 5. You know, the effects are good. I like the production design. You know, I like seeing slapstick. There was certainly a lot of it. I feel like this is more. Again, I'm not seeing the first, so I can't speak to it truthfully, but it doesn't feel like they changed much other than, and the backstory is very brief. It's you know, just sets up the fact that why they're going after the mayor, and that's about it.
Right. And Gritterin Masters says diversity math has no valid solution. And Shelby AC says, I loved the original Hocus Pocus because the main actor was the kid from Erie, Indiana. And for $9.99, what are you doing? I see on occasion I'll catch the
Maya Burnett.
On the R&B show. I want to say Robservations, but it's changed. It's now the
post nerd singularity.
It's the post geek singularity.
Oh, that's it.
So subscribe to the channel where you can see. Subscribe to the channel for $9.99. Thank you for that. Hi, gents. Tyler Perry at the Toronto International Film Festival mentioned that he's seen the diversity hiring push, and he doesn't prioritize experience over diversity. Perry cares about his employees and passes the torch of knowledge.
Yeah,
he did. I saw some quotes from him. I actually think that Tyler Perry, I think he's based. He's based.
I mean, watch that interview, and you'll see a very reasonable man.
He's a reasonable man, and not only that, he gave the best speech at the Oscars the year it was like they finally were going to do it live. Even during COVID, they did the Oscars, and it was like super
at the train station. Yeah,
at the train station, he gave a speech that was the best speech of the night, and everyone ignored it. In fact, I remember like tweeting about it, like, this is the best speech of the night. His speech was about bringing people together and Like, it was just like a very simple speech that was like meant to sort of bring the temperature down with all this nonsense, and totally ignored. And it was a great speech. Tyler Perry, look, I'm not a fan of the Medea movies. They're not for me. But should they not exist because they're not for me? No. Are those movies trying to go after people in a hateful way as a way of marketing? No.
Yeah.
He just makes he makes movies like here's how much money they'll make, and he makes it for less. And that's why he's an incredibly smart businessman and someone as an indie filmmaker you should admire. Tyler Perry. Go try to get a job at his studio in Atlanta. He's looking to, like you say, pass the torch.
Expanding. He's definitely expanding his studios, and again, Medea made him hundreds of millions of dollars. There was an audience for that. I wasn't a part of that audience. Chris wasn't a part of that audience. There was an audience for it, and they came out in droves to see it, and they gave him a lot of money for it.
Well, Post Geek Singularity, subscribe to that and support their work. Amazing stuff. Tucker Time, content, not film, not art. And let's see. Oh, I missed one here. Hadwell, modern remakes choke because they don't improve on the original. They just turn it into CGI, or they remove/change things that used to be normal for kids to see. Even the parents today saw as kids. Yeah. Disney adults rejoice.
I'll just say the first thing in a remake is you have to ask the question, why did people like the original in the first place? And you put that in your remake.
Disney adults rejoice, says David Garcia. And Fear the Turtle 21. I admit that my love for the original is nostalgia since I was a kid when it came out, and it's tradition for me. It's just classic 90s Disney that is goofy and cheesy but charming. Get back to that. And Fingers says, nothing like a 30-year gap between the original and the sequel. Dempsey's a member. Thank you for that. Hocus Pocus is one of my wife's favorite movies. She will be crushed that it is going the route that it did. I mean, she may be more forgiving of it.
I think so. I mean, I'd be interested to see what fans or the fans actually thought of it. Yeah, I'm coming at from not that perspective.
And Scott says, should Disney not exist? I just think that the current leadership at Disney should rethink their life. That's a quote from Star Wars Episode 2. No one is going to get that. No, someone make it. John Witchboy, good to have you here. A sequel should have a narrative reason to exist. Yes, is there a story? This is why Steven Spielberg just doesn't do sequels. He's just like, yeah, I'm just not going to do a sequel. I mean, they wanted him to make a sequel to Close Encounters, but he did the special edition, which has the 10 minutes of extra footage. It's not really, is it really making a better movie? No, you get to see inside the ship more, which is just another light show.
Well, how did E.T. not get a sequel? I mean,
that would be interesting. That would be interesting. That would be interesting to have him come back. They're both older. He has kids. Something is up like that. That would be interesting. It would be terrible though. And Dempsey has been a member for 2 months and says Film Threat is one of the most entertaining parts of my week. Thank you both for all that you do. Slap that like button. You know what? Not only are we going to slap the like button, we're gonna do this just for you. Thank you, Dempsey, for that. And some more Gritter and Masters. I think Film Threat has the potential to bring a lot of people who may not all agree politically together under the banner of loving cinema and entertainment. Well, that's what we try to do. I mean, Film Threat as a media outlet, and I've said this many times, we are politically agnostic. But what does that mean? That means that we cover movies on one side of the aisle and the other. And what we usually find is one side of the aisle is less tolerant than the other. So we cover documentaries on the left and the right. And some people don't like that. I don't. It doesn't matter. I don't care.
To me, I feel like we're believers in common sense. And I think that's what will attract most people to us.
Yeah. And spoiler alert, Disney is Skynet, says Fur to the Future. Film Thread is the best way to go, man, says Latino Slant. Paulie, we're long overdue for a hangout. Dodgers game, maybe not this week, but next week. Next week, Dodger game. I'm talking about at the 35er in Pasadena, my favorite dive bar. Unfortunately, the success of Top Gun Maverick is just going to drive more of these sequels. Well, no, it's just the not having new ideas. You're either like rebooting a series by just calling it Ghostbusters 2016, which is stupid. Now you have to distinguish between the Ghostbusters from the 80s and Ghostbusters 1984, Ghostbusters 2016. Okay, the same title of movie. It annoys me whenever I search Ghostbusters that I now have to distinguish between the two films, and it's a way to supplant the original, and I don't like it.
But here's the thing about Top Gun Maverick. It should show the studios what people want to see in theaters today. You know, the type of stories that they want. They don't want woke crap. They just want a good story, a good action movie. And that's why Top Maverick is going to be the biggest blockbuster movie this year.
Maverick will be the #1 movie of the year, box office wise, when we get to the end of the year. And we got super chats here I want to get through that are not related to Hocus Pocus. So I'm going to go to a neutral background. Just going to go to a neutral background here, and I'm just going to put up a thing. Hey, support us. If you like what Film Threat does, hey, support us. You can get a Film Threat. Hey, you can get a Film Threat mug that'll match your shirt.
Sorry.
What were you trying to do?
I was trying to get to the neutral background.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
But let's go to some super chat questions here that are not related. Then we're going to talk about She-Hulk. We're also going to talk about Avatar, and among other things. And we have a special guest joining us at 3 p.m. Pacific time, Warren Pereira. He is the director of Tiger 24, opening in theaters on Friday. So we're going to tell you all about it. Party Pucks for 2. Andor seems to be the same plot as Solo. Agree? It's in the same realm, and that makes a lot of sense to me. The new episode of Andor just kind of, it's more set up for the big heist. We got to see what's happening on Coruscant with Mon Mothma and Stellan Skarsgård's character. And what I really like is the look of Coruscant.
Mm-hmm.
It looks great.
It's progressed over time, which is great.
And then you see Cassian integrating himself unsuccessfully, trying to gain the trust of the heist crew that he's been thrown into. So I think we're supposed to get some action in episode. I've not seen episode 5, but episode 5 is going to be out, and I think this is where things will take an interesting turn. From what I hear, and I haven't seen it, but I happen to know it's I mean, there may be aspects that are similar, but this is just so much better done. Mm-hmm. That and I'm not saying I love Andor yet. I like the new kind of feel and tone, but I'm curious to see where it goes, and I can't say that for other things. Rings of Power, She-Hulk,
Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap. I haven't even watched. I don't want to see it. I don't care. Donnie Blaze for $4.99. Donnie Blaze for $4.99. It's Sean Z. Is Disney capable of destroying Deadpool 3? Hugh, my fellow Libra, are they going to ruin his comeback like they did Ewan McGregor? I don't think so. One, I think it's going to be PG-13. It's not going to be R-rated.
No, I don't know. I've heard they were promised the R. That's what
they were promised the R, but a lot of things they promise and don't happen. But yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. I trust Ryan Reynolds. Actually, if it is PG-13, it has the potential to use that. They can use the PG-13 of it to just go wild, but like cover stuff up, make jokes, mock Disney plus Marvel series. Like they could Ryan Reynolds should just go nuts. He should just go nuts.
Yeah, Once Upon a Deadpool was Ryan Reynolds doing that, just pulling Deadpool into the PG-13 category, and I think he did a great job with it. Yeah, and I have to believe he wouldn't be a part of this project if he wasn't given the control he needed. I can't imagine a studio is going to come in and tell him what to do.
Brad says, as a Halloween fan, the fact that there are 3 movies with the title Halloween, yeah, and you have to like refer to them by year, it's ridiculous. And Dempsey says, hey, I need a new mug. Yeah, get your mug. Taylor Gentry for $4.99 says, hey guys, do you still do meetups at the Burbank AMC for movie screenings? My wife and I just moved here and would love to meet the Film Threat team. I am at the Burbank AMC 16 every Thursday. It's usually a different time though, depending on the movie. We have a movie meetup group. The movie meetup group, what we do is we all decide like, okay, we're all going to see this movie. So we meet up at usually Yard House or Islands. They each have a good happy hour. So we try to get there 4:30 or 5. And we just all decide what movie we're going to see. And then we just all go see the movie. And then if the movie, like if it's a good post-movie discussion, we'll come back to the bar and we continue the discussion. But yeah, we do it. Taylor, you're invited. And not only that, I might have to go see Bros there. Because Alan's going to keep watching Quantum Leap. I guess unless the chat is going to change their mind. Donnie Blaze says, you gentlemen should do a bet. Loser has to stay a week at the Star Wars Hotel.
That's an expensive bet.
If someone's willing to pay, I wouldn't want them to spend money on that. That's stupid. I'd rather have them give that money to charity rather than Disney. So, yeah. And let's see. Ryan Reynolds should have Disney buy the you-know-whats for Deadpool 3, especially with Jackman attached to it, says Fear the Turtle. Yeah.
It's going to make a lot of money. It will make a lot of money.
It will make a lot of money. I'm excited for it. So we'll see. But yeah, support us and get some merch at shop.filmthreat.com. A lot of shirts. We have some new shirts. They're going to be going into the shop very soon. I'm very excited to tell you about the new shirts. And Dempsey's asking about the Discord server. I don't know. I just don't want another thing to do. So, but let's get into it. Alan, it's time for you to talk about Avatar.
Have you not seen a movie this week? That's
what?
Have you not seen anything this week?
Yeah, I did. I'm going to talk about stuff. I saw movies. I saw Smile. I'm going to talk about on Friday.
Okay.
I'm going to see a movie tonight. I've seen a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I saw that's great? We're going to have the director on the beginning of October. I saw a movie called I Love You, You Hate Me. And it's a documentary about the people behind Barney the dinosaur. And it is batshit crazy. It's all about the hate for Barney the dinosaur. It's insane. Like you meet the creator of Barney the dinosaur and how she built this empire. Anyways, I said it's a 2-part doc series. We're going to interview the director, Tommy Avalone, in October. But right now, Alan is going to talk about the re-release of Avatar. In anticipation of Avatar, The Way of Water, Avatar has been re-released to theaters in an upgraded edition.
Yes.
In 4K with new 3D. In addition, there are scenes from The Way of Water. Alan, love to hear your review.
Yeah, so I've mentioned it before. I've never seen Avatar, and so I took it upon myself to go to my IMAX theater and see it. So it's IMAX, it's 4K, and I believe there are high frame rate screenings somewhere in the world. So Avatar had been converted to high frame rate, and the sequels will be filmed in high frame rate as well. Just a warning. And I would suggest you not do it. So let's start positive. Probably the best 3D movie I've seen ever. I do like the effects. I like the fact that it's not just a movie that happens to be in 3D, but Cameron used 3D in great ways, in ways that you would kind of reminiscent of the old days of 3D where they throw things out into the audience, where they really play with that depth. And I will say, yeah, this is probably my favorite 3D movie. I understand now the hype behind it. I was not a big fan of the Na'vi, and I think by the end, I understand why people like them and love them. I also understand why people love this movie. It's a beautiful movie. Yes, it's a travel brochure for a place that doesn't exist. Well, now it's a travel brochure for Pandora at Disney World. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I wouldn't mind living here, living there. So yeah, environmental message. I'm fairly middle of the road when it comes to the environment. It's got it all there. My problem with the movie is it is so heavy-handed. It's basically a tale about indigenous people and the environment. And what I'm frustrated about this movie is just, again, how heavy-handed it is. How basically it's us versus them. Colonizers are bad. The indigenous are good. All colonizers are bad, and all indigenous people are good. It really creates kind of a religion when it comes to the land and its interconnectedness. There's a lot of new age messaging there, and it's just, again, it's so out there. And I think my problem is I have always had problems with films like that basically divides that line right down the middle there, and gives no place for any gray in between. I think what's his, I want to say, I can't remember the main character's name, and I just saw the movie. But he's the one who kind of is caught in between the two worlds, and and that's the connection. And they're obviously trying to teach you something here, and that just kind of turned me off. And I feel like Avatar is just going to be more of that, from each of the element, what we're doing to the animals of the ocean and pollution. I think that's going to be the next movie. Air will be about, how, it will be about carbon, too much carbon in the air and climate change and all that stuff. And I'm just like, well, we're in for a big environmental lesson over the next few years with this. Have you seen Avatar?
Of course, yeah. No, I saw Avatar when it was first in theaters in 2009, and I think it's the best 3D I've ever seen. I think it's reminiscent. It's reminiscent of. It reminds me of Viewmaster Viewers, where it would just sort of create a world that's sort of a 3D world that goes inside rather than having things.
I mean, I will
face,
say,
which is annoying.
I will say this movie is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous, and I was sucked in right from the get go. I love the visuals.
Well, the lead character's name is Jake Sully, played by Sam Worthington. But also, it's not just an environmental message; it's a complete ripoff of Dune. It's someone from the outside, coming to another place where he's integrated into the indigenous people. He then takes up the cause of the indigenous people, and there's an environmental message about resources. That is Dune. That is the first Dune book. Mm-hmm. And the first Dune book is also, he has to in Jake Sully has to kind of master flying the dragon. Paul Atreides has to master the sandworm. He has to ride the worm, so to speak. And there, a lot of people say it's Fern Gully. It's like only on the surface level. Mm-hmm. In fact, Avatar, when it came out, completely shelved the Dune project that was at Paramount at the time. And because the stories were so close. So years later, Denis Villeneuve has now taken up the mantle to do Dune. I think it's smart to do 2 movies. Might have been better as 3 movies. Who knows? But I know Avatar gets a lot of hate. I think which I don't understand. I think it's perfectly entertaining. You're free to ignore the environmental message, right? It is heavy-handed, but it's also there are other movies that are like it as well. Dances with Wolves, very similar, right? In Dances with Wolves, Kevin Costner's character, comes to this, he's integrates himself with the Indians. He ends up becoming one of them. He ends up even being renamed Dances with Wolves. He's part of their group. It's a more common story than one would think. Yeah,
but the idea that all Na'vi are good people, that they're, that none of them will ever waver in the community. It just feels, out of place to me.
I have a suspicion things will get more complex in the way of water. I think you're going to see rival tribes that are also of the Na'vi species. So I hope that it's more complex. I know that James Cameron said it's 3 hours. We don't need basically a remake of the first movie, a la Sam Raimi when Sam Raimi made Evil Dead 1, then he made Evil Dead 2, he made Evil Dead 3, and they're all kind of like sort of mini copies of each other where you just try to do things a little differently in each one, although Evil Dead 3 kind of gets a little wacky. But I think the thing is that Avatar, the reason maybe we don't talk about it as much, culturally speaking, is because it was a fine movie. It was decent. You either loved it or hated it, but there's no reason to keep talking about it. Whereas like something like Star Wars or Marvel, we're still continuing to talk about because there's such dissatisfaction. Whereas like, hey, the people who didn't love Avatar, they just didn't watch it. But I know people that are super fans of Avatar because of the Pandora land at Disney World in Florida.
Yeah.
Currently closed, by the way. But,
I mean, the whole movie, I feel like it's people like it because of the visuals. You know,
right.
No one really talks. I mean, that's the weird thing is all this time has gone by. And even now, I didn't know the story of Avatar. All I knew was a great looking film because no one talked about the story.
Did you get to see it with anyone else? You saw it alone, or
there were 4 other people in my theater.
Okay. Well, yeah. No, look, I'm interested to see The Way of Water because I believe in James Cameron. I think never count him out. Yeah. That guy, every time, look, and when he does something, it's always worth paying attention to. He's pretty much got nearly the month of December all to himself since Shazam 2 is no longer being released.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah.
You know, at D23, we got to see scenes of Way of Water. We got to see 5 scenes. And, you know, and we got to see it in 3D and we got to see it in high frame rate. And the underwater 3D looks incredible. And everything else looks incredible. I think, you know, I don't think the quality of production has gone down on this movie.
All right, well, let's go to our chat here before we pivot. And Dempsey, any update on the Discord server? No, it's not an update. Here's the update. I don't want to do it. But if someone else wants to do a Film Threat Discord server, that would be great. And then Alan is in charge of it.
No, I think the going term is we will do a Film Threat Discord server if we don't have to be a part of it.
If there's zero commitment or anything required of me, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to have someone else do it.
You're happy to not do it.
I'm happy to not do it. Davin Perry for 5 says, I was rewatching the Predator series because of Prey. There was a few I missed. I wish products always kept a numeric sequence. Yeah, like it's weird. Like now, like it's like, well, how do you keep track? You really literally have to look up the years now. Mm-hmm. So let's see. We'll keep going here. Fear the Turtle 21 is a member. Take out the technology, and Avatar is the most overrated movie I've ever seen. Story has been done 1,000 times. It looks amazing, but otherwise, it's very forgettable.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
will say this.
We've seen that story before. Yeah,
correct. I will say this: it resonates with people. It resonates with people, and they want to see. Also, by the way, what do you want to see? Do you want to see like a new Avatar? Or you want to see like, I don't know. A lot, your favorite franchise,
Dances with Wolves 2.
Gestus says high frame rate gives me headaches. Yeah, I will not see it in HFR.
Yeah.
Dempsey, shiny keys lose their luster every time. Member berries go sour, and the story itself will rise to the top. If the story is bad, it will fade away. Patrick Lemire says high frame rate. It is so real. It looks unreal. The Hobbit. Yeah, I saw one of the Hobbit movies in HFR. I could not stand it. Like I was like, I never want. It was headache inducing. Yeah. Something about it. And this is fun. Johnny Fuerte says old people are obsessed with Avatar. I think it's very safe science fiction. It's also science fiction where you don't see people arguing. Well, you know, the Na'vi, they don't really, the dragon that was in the, like, you know how like the level of detail people get into with conversation. No one does that with Avatar. It's just like, yeah, that was fun. Avatar is as much a ride, a theme park ride, as it is a movie, if that makes
And that's why it's probably one of the more popular attractions at the Animal Kingdom right now.
Yeah. Bird of the Future says, what if they make a live action Ferngully? Oh, wait. And Jules Verne says Avatar also would have been improved 10% if they came up with a name other than Unobtainium. That sounds so dumb. It is a dumb name. I mean, maybe Unobtainium is like the nickname that they call it, but it actually has some technical name. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, here, we're going to inject the She-Hulk review into my veins. Dempsey says, loser of the bet should have to binge watch She-Hulk, lol. Boomer says Scott. All right.
We got a super chat.
Oh, got a super chat here. Let's get to that real quick. This is awesome. Yeah. Greasy Vop for 20 says, I'm looking forward to some interesting Na'vi human offspring similar to Dr. Moreau.
Yes, I believe we get that.
I believe we get that. I'm curious.
Because I think Sigourney Weaver's character has a child in the scene.
Is that what happens?
Yeah. That's my understanding.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's awesome. Well,
I don't know how it happened, but apparently it happened.
Well, thank you for the support for our channel. We appreciate it. You know what? I'm looking forward to Avatar because I think Black Adam looks terrible. And the only other films that I think are going to be decent through the rest of the year are going to be indie movies that we will be talking about. In particular, the movie Missing. But I'm going to save Smile for Friday to talk about. That's when Smile opens. But real quick, Bethany for 5. Never saw Avatar, but I love the South Park version. That's great. Thank you, Bethany, for 5. We appreciate it. And what is the mom character in Barbarian, says Len Barnett for 2. Well, Mom is this is kind of a spoiler. Mom is effectively the villain living in the tunnels. Let's not talk about what that creature is. It's the offspring of evil. Let's just say that. But Barbarian, I strongly recommend. It was expanded into 600 more theaters this weekend, and cannot recommend that movie enough. Probably one of the best horror films this year. You all should see it. Now, we need to do a reset here because you've all been waiting. And this is for both Alan and I. This isn't just me talking about this. Okay. I don't know. What are we showing here? There we go. Something. Maybe that's better. All right. Let's get right into it. But first, we have to introduce something. I'm freaking angry. I am angry about She-Hulk for a number of reasons. I'm so freaking angry. We needed to introduce a new video. A freaking IKEA chair. Okay. Here's why I'm pissed. Wait, let's one more time for people in the chat. A freaking IKEA chair. Okay, so She-Hulk. Alan and I initially got to see the first 4 episodes of She-Hulk, nearly almost the whole season, right? Because it's only 9 episodes. We got to see it early. And my impression of it was, this has potential. We have a flawed female character. Well, that's something that seems kind of new, at least to the recent Marvel universe, in particular the Disney Plus shows. And previous to She-Hulk, every single Disney Plus show had disappointed me. Every single one is bad. Couldn't stick the landing, was terrible. And this show, I thought, well, they're doing something different. Number one, She-Hulk is not a bait and switch. Excuse me. She-Hulk is about She-Hulk. Okay? So, interesting. She-Hulk is based on, at least I thought, a known and trusted classic genre. Don't feature me, Alan.
Well, I feel like you're going to be talking for a while. So
okay, it's a trusted genre of television, right? It's feminism in the way that Mary Tyler Moore is feminist. She has an awful boss. She has insufferable coworkers. Some coworkers she likes, some she doesn't. It's a workplace drama, a little bit of Ally McBeal thrown in, a little Boston legal. It's a legal comedy. And I thought, having seen the first 4 episodes, of which the 4th episode was the episode that kind of lost me, I was like, well, one episode I really thought was terrible out of the first 4. It's like, all right, well, I'm willing to forgive the things that I see, and I like the show. I never said I love the show. I said I liked it and I want to see where it goes. In particular, I love Tim Roth as Emil Blonsky, Annihilation, because I actually had the old Hulk comics in the 70s where he fought Annihilation. And the fact that they did, at least for Shang-Chi and for the She-Hulk show, they did a comic book accurate Annihilation. Okay. I thought that was great. I love that. And I thought that they were going to be bringing in some, taking the Marvel universe seriously, what would be some legal aspects of the show. And they turned it into a fucking joke. And the first signs were, to me, because I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. And real quick aside, when I was reviewing television, when I was on G4 TV's Attack of the Show, and I did DVD Tuesday, and I would review box sets of TV shows. Now, normally when I did that, I would have seen all of the episodes. If it was a season of Lost or Game of Thrones, I would have seen all of the shows before, all of the episodes before, all of the episodes for a season. Then I would get the DVD and pretty much just watch all the extras and listen to the commentary and, hey, recommend it or not recommend it. But with She-Hulk, hey, here's a little bit of it. The fourth episode, when the guy is laying on the couch reading The Feminist Way, this kind of fake, I don't know. I assume it's a fake book. Maybe it's a real book. I don't know. Never read it, never heard of it. As soon as I say, oh, okay, that's a little on the nose. And now I've seen, so the last 3 episodes have been, in my opinion, hot garbage. That has made me completely shift because, look, I am a hopeful person. You know me to be neither rash nor impulsive. Okay. I generally don't do the rage hate reviews, even when it's deserved. And at this point, it's just it deserved. These last 3 episodes have been horrible. All the stuff with Titania. And then the thing that, like, this most recent episode, is there a new episode today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
The latest episode with Mr. Immortal, where She-Hulk's not even in the office and she has her 2 coworkers basically berate this guy. Like, who the hell is this show for? It definitely is. Look, here's the way I look at it is, if the situation were reversed and it was a woman coming in to get divorced and it was Ms. Immortal and the situation were flipped, the female character would not be treated that way. This is a show that hates men very openly. And I'm okay with a character being flawed if there is growth, and we have seen none of that. None of it. Zero. But I always look at that and I'm like, okay, if this were reversed, yeah, that sucks. It would suck if that was reversed. If it was Ms. Immortal instead of Mr. Immortal. So yeah, the last episode I just found offensive. And it's the kind of, here's the weird thing is, because I live in Los Angeles and a lot of people are saying that, like, the show, Gary Beekler from Neurotic says the show, it's all written by wine moms to a point, but it's a very specific kind of, I don't even think they're wine moms. If they were moms, they might have learned some empathy. The women writing this show are not moms for sure. They're all single with cracked iPhone screens, which is always, to me, a cracked iPhone screen. If you see a girl who has a cracked iPhone screen and then she doesn't get it immediately fixed, red flag for you. But I absolutely hated the last 3 episodes. And the first 3, I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. Look, I'm the guy that hated Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, hated that movie. I thought, well, The Last Jedi was interesting. I thought, okay, they're going to wrap it up. This was me being naive, forgive me here, thinking the 3rd movie is going to be, there's a reason that all of this has occurred. The 3rd Star Wars movie, The Rise of Skywalker, which I falsely thought the Skywalker in The Rise of Skywalker was Luke Skywalker. He was going to rise almost in a Christ-like sense, having gone to the other side of the Force and returned to kick some freaking ass, meaning they would save the best stuff for last. And they didn't do that. So yes, there have been 9 Disney Plus Marvel series, and not one of them is good. Not a single one. They've all shit the bed in the end. They're garbage. And I'm now offended because I don't know who these shows are for. I like, is She-Hulk even for women? Like, it's certainly for a very specific type of woman who is single and angry. And there are a lot of women like that in Los Angeles. I've met them. Trust me. That is a type. Okay. And so I have to say my initial optimism about what the show could have been completely dashed. And I cannot stand it. And that's oh god. A freaking IKEA chair. Alan, what are your thoughts on She-Hulk now that we've seen more of the show play out?
Yeah, you ask who is the show for? It's easy. It's for the feminist woman from LA. It's written by a room full of feminist women who probably sit around and talk about what the problem with men are, and now they have a show where they express it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm okay with watching a show like that. I don't think I've gotten to the point where I hate this show to where I'm gonna stop watching it. I'm kind of interested to see where it's going, but the cracks are showing. I think the biggest problem the show has taken so far is that the legal cases she is taking has very little weight to it. It's very, it's not even the weight of like the practice, LA Law, Boston Legal. It's a couple rungs down, and I'm really disappointed with that. If you're gonna do a law show about superheroes, I want a little more weight to these things, and it's more like divorce court but with superheroes. I think my biggest disappointment with the show is that it had the potential of being really good. It wasn't gonna be great, but it had the potential of being a really good sitcom legal show, and it's just it feels like it's just kind of a men bad bitch session, so to speak. But again, I'm okay with that, and I'll this is where everyone turns on me, but I'm okay. I'm probably gonna go and see it to the end and see what happens. And
I don't know if I don't know if I really care anymore. So I'm also like, I'm not the kind of person that likes to hate watch a show. Yeah. Like, I don't like Rings of Power. I don't care. I think it's a waste of time. Yeah. I would rather watch some independent film. Okay. But let me just say She-Hulk, it's a waste of time. By the way, I got it wrong. It's excuse me. It's Abomination. Why the Abomination? I'm so mad.
You're getting murdered.
Violation, Abomination. The fuck.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of sitcom level comedy, it's definitely up there with the TGIF comedies. Family Matters, Full House. I'm just so disappointed that that's the level of writing that this comedy show is getting. And there are comic writers out there who could punch up this show so much better than it is. And they're out there, and with the money that they're spending on these things, they certainly could have, shelled out a less than $50,000 to hire a few people who know how to write comedy.
Spidey Sensei 72 has a super chat. We're going to get to that, but I want to get to comments about this. Yeah. Not the Batman says, but She-Hulk is immensely more angry and better at handling it than you, Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
DDR says, Chris, let the hate flow through you. Alan Horkin, freaking IKEA chair. I love it. Anonymous. All the Disney Marvel shows are bad. Yeah. I mean, they can have a decent episode, but I feel like it's like after 9 shows and all of them, there's not one that like you could go, wow, that was a really great season of television. There isn't one, not one.
But people are saying this is the worst. Is this the worst Disney Marvel show?
Well, we'll find out. Anonymous says legal quote comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even legal. It's not even legal too.
This She-Hulk episode was boring in my opinion. I threw out my TV that I had in my van where I live by the river, says Solomon Thornton. Thanks. Night Court did it better, says Dempsey. And Shucksy, yes, Abomination. What was I saying? Annihilation. I'm just, whatever. Tim Roth. I just think it's Tim Roth's character. Emil Blonsky. Daniel D. It's okay, guys. He's ranting. Annihilation. Wait, I love this. Annihilation Says Shucksy. Thanks for that. Rayland, Disney only bait and switch male characters. True. Amanda Nowicki, the head writer for She-Hulk, did admit nobody on the writing staff knew how to write a legal drama or comedy.
Yeah,
like
it's
that's
clear.
The thing is like, are they who are they getting to run these shows? It's literally like, are they just giving them out like candy to just whatever? Like did the woman who was in charge, I believe her name is Jessica Gao, did she have previous experience show running? Has she had some shit has she had some shit shows? She hasn't had any hit shows as far as I know, but it's don't
mix up your agents here. Jessica Gao did this one. Deborah Chow was a director of Kenobi.
Yes, so Jessica Gao did the I think the one joke that she personally contributed was eating Doritos with a chopsticks. Yes, that seemed like she would do that. But yeah, continue with the comments. Cavatino, Cavalryman, Shay, we need Chris hulking out clip. All right, we got to get that. Justice says, are they pulling the producers springtime for She-Hulk? You mean, are they making it tank on purpose? It's apparently it's not even in the top 10 streaming shows now.
I know. I heard it was still doing better than Rings of Power. That's what I heard.
Seriously? Okay. Anonymous says it is a comedy without laughs with superheroes who have no heroism. If that is your thing, then She-Hulk is for you. That's the thing that just bugs me about modern Marvel. What is a hero? What is the I feel like Steve Rogers, Captain America, knows what it is to be a hero. I feel like Tony Stark evolved into being a hero. He was a kind of a selfish prick, but learned to be selfless, because to me, being a hero is being self-sacrificing, meaning you care about others more than yourself, but that's not a virtue these days. That's not a virtue today. So thank you, Anonymous. Patrick Lemire says, was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no. Yeah, exactly. That, yes. Okay. Yeah. But, look, I am a person that I am an optimistic person. I want to like this stuff. First of all, I'm excited that we're living in a time where there's even a fucking She-Hulk show. It's too bad that it sucks. But when I was a kid, not ever in my mind's eye did I expect that there'd be like a Fantastic Four movie coming down the pike. You know what I mean? Like not only that, there's been like 3 incarnations of the Fantastic Four and about to be a fourth time's the charm for the Fantastic Four, I guess. But Alan Horkin says, Rotten Tomatoes TV scores are worthless because they're so heavily based on the first few episodes. Righteous rant, Chris. Yeah, like that's the thing is like they usually put their best foot forward. That's how Disney kind of gets away with this. And then all the episodes, it seems like once we got to the 4th episode that it's like, okay, we don't have money for effects. So literally episode 5 and 6 of She-Hulk are just like, yeah, we don't have really money for effects except for her turning into She-Hulk. So
they made all those shoes. Come on.
Oh God.
Put all the money in those shoes.
Aaron Rosenfeld says, seriously, is the writing staff made up of Second City sketch comedy class students? Hey, don't insult students like that, Aaron Rosenfeld.
Hey, and Second City used to produce a lot of our great comedians and writers.
Want biscuits? I can feel your anger, Chris. It makes you stronger, gives you focus. Yeah. Justice says, there's a member, who would think a show made by wine-drunk cat moms would be so unfunny? Well, it's like what It's a Gundam says. Invest in cat food. Invest in cat food. Be a lot of single women, but we lost Glenuccio. I know
he's probably drowning her.
Yeah, Florida is going through something right now. Glenn, if you got to leave, please. Safety first, family first, all that. This is just a YouTube show where we have fun. So take care of yourself. Glenn is producing behind the scenes. Want to make sure he's okay. Let's see. Here we go. Rod Thunderheart says, Guy sues his insurance company for claim denial. Sorry, we can't process your claim for the Punisher blowing up your car because you took the superhero policy, which covers people with powers, and he has no powers. Now, there could have been some deeper layers the show could have gone. Alan, why don't you go through some chat? I have to I gotta do a refill on my water here. So I'll be
Okay.
right back.
All right, so let's I'm just going randomly here, so something may appear. Okay. There's an interview of her talking about the writing room process. They say around eating ham. Look it up. Yeah, the show has denigrated into a 90s sitcom. And that's sad. It's just really sad. Let's see, who runs the show? People with no life experience who live in the weird bubble that is LA. Yeah, it's definitely an LA show. It takes place in LA, written by people in LA. It's okay. More devastating news. Marvel has hired 2 unknown writers to write the next Avengers films. Let's see. I'm not sure who they were. Let me see. I can see Marvel if they let me make a hard R Jubilee movie. Oh, there we go. Hard R. Yeah. I mean, isn't Jubilee supposed to be Chinese too? So they'll screw that one up. I'm waiting for She-Hulk to join the Avengers in Marvel Phase 5. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is they're taking a character. They're not really setting her up to be a superhero. They're kind of examining the life of an LA woman who has superpowers. And again, there's nothing wrong with necessarily that idea or that plot, but there's a lot of comedy. There's a lot of interesting storytelling you have, and they're just going, it's like they're taking us down this road where they could do something really serious and really interesting in it. And then they're saying, just kidding. And then giving us, stories about someone trying to kill himself out of a marriage or what was it? I'm trying to remember the first one. Oh, and copyright infringement. Titania was supposed to be set up to be this major villain, and the whole conflict is about copyright infringement. Everyone in the chat, I don't know who they had to reject to get these gem of a writers to write She-Hulk. If these are the best writers for the job, Kenobi was the same way. I feel like I don't know why they're using these series to kind of test new writers, and that's just what it seems like. And worse, there's no one guiding them. There's absolutely no one standing there saying, here's how you write a TV series. And it's just really going down that direction. Aaron Rosenfeld. I also heard the showrunner came from writing Hallmark cards. All right. Let's move down. Sorry. Glenn, are you grabbing stuff? Yeah, if you can help me out, that'd be great. Let's see. Glenn needs to borrow the official Film Threat yacht right now. Yeah, unfortunately, that's in Marina Del Rey. It's not in Florida. John Orchard for $5. The good thing about these shows is learning how not to write. So there's that. Yeah, you could watch a lot of shows and learn how not to write. Rings of Power. Compare that to House of the Dragon, and you see a vast difference in the way dialogue is written, story plot lines, finding interesting stories, finding interesting plot lines. Let's see. Barbarian and Speak No Evil are must-see horror films this year. Did you see Speak No Evil?
I haven't seen Speak No Evil. Sorry about that, Alan. They're doing,
no
course, we're doing a live stream, and the leaf blowers are here in force. So there you go. But I have not seen Speak No Evil. But Barbarian is fantastic. Thank you, Spidey Sensei 72. Let's see. Vamp King says She-Hulk should just be the Avengers lawyer. Yeah, that would be a lot better. If only there was She-Hulk, a comic book to draw from. I never read the original She-Hulk origin story, but I knew She-Hulk when she came in to replace the Thing in the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So
I mean, She-Hulk, if I'm remembering right, the original series, it felt like Daredevil in the sense that she was taking on some pretty hefty mob bosses in the city.
Right.
And again, much more interesting story than what we're getting. And I have to reiterate, I don't fault the idea behind what She-Hulk is. It's just they're not pulling it off. There is great potential for these stories to be told, and they're going either the safe route or they're going the jokey route.
Anonymous says, if they had anyone with some knowledge of how to write a legal series, it could have been gold with all the damage the superheroes have done to civilians in the Marvel universe. Yeah, think of all the lawsuits. Thanos alone, lawsuits from Thanos. I mean, it's interesting, and I thought it would have been interesting. And when Abomination was on there, that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And now Abomination had, like Bruce Banner, gone through this metamorphosis that to basically control, his abilities. It was interesting.
Yeah.
And
then it went into identity theft.
She-Hulk is using her powers to have a nice ass at a wedding, which was stupid. It was just, I felt, I have sort of sometimes, and you can say I'm foolish, I have a Luke Skywalker like optimism. I feel the good in you. I want the She-Hulk show to be good, and unfortunately that is not the case. Alan Horkin, She-Hulk origin, gunned down by gangsters. She-Hulk new origin. Yeah. Jen is a bad driver. Yeah. Clobbering times. Get ready for this terrible show to get even worse with the degradation of Daredevil. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Dempsey, just remember that the memory store is canon. Oh, God. The memory store. So stupid. The original series was the Savage She-Hulk, and she was just as out of control as Bruce was at the start. Only in the second series did they start the lawyer storylines. Yeah. Real quick, Alan, before we get to our special guest, Warren Pereira, who's going to show up here momentarily, we're going to switch gears here real quick. I just want to show this to you for energy, because a lot of times we talk about how like stuff is awful and whatever, and part of what we're trying to do is tell you avoid these things, but you should look at some other things as possibilities. I just want to share screen on something and show you a little glimpse of a movie that's coming out next year where I am incredibly curious. This movie is Ray Liotta's last film. It's directed by Elizabeth Banks, who previous to this did that Charlie's Angels movie that tanked because it wasn't for guys, so nobody went to see it, and the movie tanked. And I'm very curious about this film. I want to present it to everyone here. It's Cocaine Bear. And it stars Ray Liotta, Kerry Russell, and it's directed by Elizabeth Banks. It's coming out in 2023. This is a real movie about a bear that gets hopped up on cocaine and runs out and causes chaos. I don't know if it's a comedy. I mean, Elizabeth Banks has a background in comedy, so I don't know if it's a comedy. I do know that Elizabeth Banks recently, she was doing some press and somehow was like sort of walking back her statements around the time that Charlie's Angels came out. And it just seemed really disingenuous. Like she was just not being accountable for her behavior. Like, oh no, I'm really sad. It was just like this cheesy action movie. She was kind of blaming it on the marketing team. But Elizabeth Banks' new project is Cocaine Bear. What do we think about Cocaine Bear, Alan?
The title alone makes me want to see it.
Okay.
I'm looking up if there's anything.
David Garcia. David Garcia.
It looks like Lord and Miller were once a part of this project.
David Garcia says, "You had me at cocaine." I thought it was the next Marvel character, says David Jacobs. Elizabeth Banks needs to stop blaming men for her problems, says John, long last name. Spidey Sensei 72, wasn't this based on a meme? Yes, but it has an IMDb listing. It literally is on IMDb. The story, it tells the story of a drug runner whose plane crashes with a load of cocaine that's found by a black bear who eats it. And it's the cast. I mean, it's got a big cast. What the hell is this movie?
Yeah, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are listed as producers.
Really?
I don't know if they're still with the project or not. They may have been on early in the project, but I don't know if they're still with it or not.
Well, I, for one, want to see Cocaine Bear just out of curiosity.
Oh, Alden Ehrenreich is in it.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's nuts.
Margot Martindale is in it. Jesse Tyler Ferguson.
Alan, that's crazy.
It could be the greatest thing or the worst thing.
It could be the worst thing, but I just have to say, I have to have some optimism in the sense that we live at a time where a lot of mainstream entertainment is pretty awful. I mean, it just is. By default, it's awful. I am hopeful. I want some things to be watchable. I want some things to be good. Barbarian is a good sign, right? Barbarian horror film. The Black Phone earlier this year was great. Pearl, very good. X, also very good. That's like 4 horror films here. And I just saw I was not excited for Halloween Ends until I saw there's a new teaser trailer that just came out, a little featurette with Jamie Lee Curtis that tells you a little bit more about Halloween Ends. And now I'm interested. So I will see that in the theater, I think in like 2 weeks. It comes out in 2 weeks. But Cocaine Bear, very excited for it. And I plan to see it. Scott says, I truly appreciate Chris's hopeful mentality. Hating doesn't help improve things. You have to build something better. I agree. Not just build something better, do it yourself, which is part of what we like to try to do on this channel. You know, show you like, here's how other indie filmmakers have done things. We interview indie filmmakers. How did they get to make their movies? How did they raise the money? How did they get it done? It's always years of struggle. It's not a simple thing to do. But yeah, so we encourage, like, make your own stuff and also seek out an indie movie. For every mainstream garbage that you see that you really dislike, you have to support something independent. A few more of these chat questions, and we have our special guest Warren Pereira joining us momentarily. Shucksy says, I think they can fix She-Hulk if they add in more IKEA chairs. Now, actually, IKEA chairs and She-Hulk would make sense to me because they're easy to just,
yeah, because if they were bolted down to the floor, it wouldn't make sense.
And Scene Creed, make Hollywood great again. Well, that could be a hat.
Yeah. What color would you make that hat?
TT says the best thing about Disney is that they're showing all of us that we can do a better job than they can. Yeah, it's a friend of mine who's an independent filmmaker. She made this indie movie years ago, and it got like mixed reviews, but she said that her hero was Pauly Shore. And let me explain. Her like justification was Pauly Shore is so bad and nobody likes him, but he doesn't care. He just smiles and does the work. And she said she was so inspired by Pauly Shore's attitude, like in spite of everything he does, critics hate, in spite of the fact that like his movies come out and they bomb. At one time, Pauly Shore had a film career, but she was inspired by him because like, look at this guy. He just keeps going. Nothing bothers him. And so, yeah, that's true. TT, like you could write a better She-Hulk script. And everybody in the chat says $25 million budget for each episode. The Munsters have more production budget than She-Hulk does. And I don't know, heroin honey badger, could that be a thing? Meth raccoon, She-Hulk versus cocaine bear. These things could all actually exist. But I think that's sort of the end of my rant. But just for fun, I think it's really important that we all revisit a freaking IKEA chair. So, all right, switching gears now. We have, wait a sec, it's not on here. Where is it? Hang on, folks. I have to do something here. Hang on, just a minute. Hang on.
Let's go here. Good rant.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, someone wants me to do an ISOM unboxing. I thought about that.
Let's do it. Let's save it for next week.
You want me to? I mean, it's coming tomorrow.
Save it for Friday. Save it for Friday, and we'll look at it. And you can because I'm going to get mine after you.
Yeah.
But today we are joined by filmmaker Warren Pereira. We interviewed him on a previous live stream, but the timing for this could not be better because Warren, the director of Tiger 24, the trailer is in the description of this YouTube video. So check out the trailer for Tiger 24. It's also on the Film Threat YouTube channel. Just look up Tiger 24. It is opening in theaters this weekend, Friday, September 30th. It will be at the Laemmle in North Hollywood. Is that right, Warren?
Uh-huh. That's
Cool.
right.
And just want to say that, like, we talk about a lot of things on here. You showed up early and you were seeing us talking about stuff that, like She-Hulk or stuff that we didn't like. You briefly saw the thing about Cocaine Bear. There's a lot of weird things that we see.
Yeah.
Some stuff worth checking out, some stuff that is just not great. Tiger 24, tell us what the status of the film is. And also, just for people like in the chat that are interested in indie filmmakers, you are basically, you have some help, but you're self-releasing this movie theatrically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were theaters that were interested nationwide earlier this year that we were able to go in there. They wanted to take a chance, like in the old school way. And that's what we did. It's not really a moneymaker. I think it's more like a loss leader for other stuff like reviews and, saying you were in theaters, maybe people will remember, and also the experience. I still believe in the experience, the theatrical experience, right? And for me, it's a control thing as well, because people are less likely to be on phones, screwing around when they're watching a movie. They probably don't have a good surround sound system for the most part. So now you get to see the movie, in surround sound on a big screen. And there's something about, looking into an image versus, looking at it. And I think, in the theater, you're looking, in the image because it's significantly bigger than your home screen.
And what exactly goes into, like, you're at the Laemmle in North Hollywood. What other theaters?
Well, for LA, it's just Laemmle, but we were, in living room theaters in Florida, in Oregon, in Indianapolis. We were at the Broadway Metro in Eugene. We were at the Savoy Theater in Vermont. So we've been around the nation, but it's an indie release, right? So we're not really able to do it simultaneously, like, all at the same time, because I don't have that kind of P&A or budget behind it. So it's basically me calling the theater owners literally and be like, hey, do you want to show this? And they're like, yes or no.
And so it's got like a decent release in all these cities: Eugene, Oregon; Montpelier, Vermont; Portland; Boca Raton, Florida; Indianapolis. And that's pretty impressive. And part of the reason you're releasing it, and this is something that people should know, the rules for the Academy, in order to be qualified for an Oscar, you have to play in theaters. What are the rules behind that?
Well, yeah, for a doc, you got to play a full run for at least a week. It's got to be at least 3 shows a day. One of them's got to be at prime time. So that is what we're doing. And honestly, initially we had an investor that wanted to push this Oscar run thing, but he went dark for his good reasons, and so we're still doing it. So I don't think we have a shot, because the reality is, you need a big campaign and you need all these reviews and a huge publicist or multiple publicists and all these things that if I keep doing them, I'll literally die. It's like there's just so many things to do that are beyond the scope of filmmaking. It's like what am I putting on Instagram? And which reviewer am I trying to bug or whatever? It's like there's so many things beyond making the movie these days that it's the reality, but it's also a little frustrating. And just like this weekend, I got people ask, like, well, can I go? Can I get a free ticket? And I'm like, I financed the movie. Why don't you buy a ticket for $14? It's like, that's just how this is. But I still am doing it because I'm like, I know it's not going to make any money theatrically, but I believe in this process, and I believe the few people that will come and actually pay for the ticket, come to the Q&A screenings, will get something different from just waiting for it on VOD when they're like on 7 different social media things while watching it.
Right. So will you be at the screening at the NoHo Hollywood?
It's Lemley, Santa Monica, just to be clear.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Lemley, Santa Monica.
Lemley, Santa Monica. So yeah, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are Q&A screenings, right, at 7:30. And the Friday one sold out. The Saturday, I think, is almost sold out. The Sunday is still a bunch of seats open. If people want to come and ask me questions, I'll be there for those. The other shows are like pretty much dead right now. So hopefully somebody will get some tickets for that.
Well, people want to go to the Q&A screenings. I personally love like if there's a screening where the director is going to be there, like that adds so much more to the experience. Which I love. Let's go to some chat questions here. Cam's Crash Courses says, I'm in Vermont. I'm going to check it out. Awesome. That's great. Appreciate that. And Jules Verne says, why not Cocaine Tiger 69? Okay. I think that's a joke. I think that's a joke. Jules Verne also asks more seriously, for Warren, did the success of Tiger King help or hurt your marketing efforts for the movie?
It helped a little bit because Carol Baskin's a fan of the film. So when we showed it in Florida, she helped sell out a screening because she was doing a Q&A. So yes, definitely, it helped, I think.
I would my advice would be careful around Carol. I would just say nothing. I mean, I don't know anything. I have no inside knowledge. I watched the first season of Tiger King. I did not see the second season. I'm just saying I would be cautious around Carol.
No, I was around her for a full day. I met her and her husband. I went to her ranch. I got a private tour of the whole place. She was great. I felt great around her. It was a lot of fun, actually. Yeah.
And here we go. Comment here. CD Stein 69 asks, while filming, what are some of the misconceptions about tigers that you had debunked through your experience?
Well, I mean, I thought once you find the tiger, which is really difficult, it would be easy to get what you want. But when you find this, in my case, a big dominant, they just sit around all day, and then once you've got, every possible angle of a tiger sitting down, your close up, your wides, your mediums, you're hoping they do something else. You're kind of wondering, what's happening over here. You're just sitting in a Jeep, looking at this tiger all day. So yeah, what got debunked is they're just kind of not doing anything all day when you're filming them. You're just watching them sit.
What's been the most effective form of marketing so far? Asks Glanuccio.
I have no idea. I don't know if any of my marketing has really been effective. I mean, I guess I would say the fact that we got renewed in theaters across the nation is a good sign because most indie films don't. So for that, the theaters themselves were fans of the film, so they put this thing on their website, Q&A. I think the Q&As, because then at the Q&As, you can tell the people to tell their friends to come and buy tickets. And, and also I realized, I don't know if this is a post-COVID thing, but you see your film, you've got 3-4 shows a day, you got the 1 p.m. show that has 1 ticket sold and you feel all depressed. Then you walk into the next auditorium, it could be a studio film or a big indie with a big star, and that one also has 1 person. So then you're like, oh, okay, I guess we're all screwed. People are just not coming to the movies at these times. So yeah, I mean, I think just doing the Q&As, doing whatever I can. I'm learning as I go along. It's not like this film is a massive financial hit right now.
Some other comments here. Anonymous says, just watch the trailer. Looks good. And
thanks. The trailer, I'm glad you like it. We have another trailer coming out. The distributor felt like the theatrical trailer was not commercial enough, so they kind of made a trailer that was more commercial. And I kind of, when we went back and forth about how do we do that and maintain the artistic integrity, but you guys have seen the film, so there's this true crime element. So the new trailer for VOD and stuff leans more into that. But again, that's a great learning experience for me, which is, the director should probably not be cutting the trailer, or should, or should be aware that this thing is a product beyond his vision. And maybe it's not exactly what the movie is, which I kind of hate, honestly, but I'm learning to accept this. That you have to make a more commercial trailer to get people to see it.
Some other questions here. John Orchard for 2 says, is Amazon Prime viable or even worth it for a filmmaker? Is it worth it?
I think for docs, it's problematic now because they don't really do docs anymore. So, I mean, the holy grail is if there's an acquisition, outright by a streamer where they say, okay, this is it, here's $1 million, and we license it for 10 years. But what's happening now is, is just TVOD. That's because a lot of these streamers just don't want to do those one-off acquisitions. I think they find they make more money with series because it keeps people there for a longer time. And the worst, of course, is AVOD, which is, then you're really screwed. But that's just how it is right now with indie films,
Solomon Thornton says, I will definitely see it. And Scott says, love it, Warren. If you have your phone out, then you did not watch it. And Johnny Fuerte says, who are your indie filmmaker heroes and inspirations?
God, there's so many. I know it's controversial to say this, but I'm a big fan of Woody Allen. I love the filmmakers behind Trophy. I like PTA, like especially the old stuff. Boogie Nights, watched that so many times. Tarantino stuff. So all the regular guys.
And then a comment from Patrick Lemire says, the Oscars are a political campaign. That's why Miramax / Harvey Weinstein did so well. It's probably always been that way, but small pictures used to win major awards without spending. And then
I don't know. Maybe not. It sounds like you have to spend,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I know that Harvey Weinstein spent a lot. And then the person who used to do all the Oscar campaigns for Harvey Weinstein got hired by Netflix. So there you go. John Orchard for 21 says, here is some money for 2 tickets and popcorn. I can't make it, but pass it on to those who want free tickets. Let's help them out. We're all in this together. That's great. So
awesome.
Just to sum up, Tiger 24 is out at the Lemley in Santa Monica. It's in theaters Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's playing this weekend, and you will be there. Buy tickets. The Friday screening is sold out. That's good news. And then the other screenings are open. There'll be a Q&A. You'll be there directly. So always having access to the filmmaker is a great thing. And John Orchard says, here is my extra money for the 21. I can't add today. Apologies. Thank you, John Orchard, for that. We appreciate the support. Warren, also, if you subscribe to the Film Threat newsletter, there's a link in there, and there'll be a link in the description to get tickets. We'll put that link that's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We'll put it in the description for this video. But Warren, thank you so much for joining us on the Film Threat Livecast. Any final words to everybody watching live?
Please come watch it on the big screen. It's your last chance to see it on the big screen, and I really think it makes a difference. It's the only 4K footage of T24 in the world, and I hope to see you there. Great.
Warren, thank you so much.
Thanks,
I'll chat with you soon. Congrats on the movie.
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you.
See ya. What a great guy.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
And talk about a good law procedural. That's a good movie.
All right, we're gonna wrap.
They had real lawyers, by the way.
Here we go. What if someone wants to make Tiger 25? Says Fuzzy. Thanks, Warren. Good luck, says Jules Verne. Jamie G says, thanks, Warren. Thank you for your time, says Dempsey. Good luck. Great interview. Yeah, we just like to. He said, look, can I just come on and plug my screening? And I'm like, yeah, come on and plug the screening. Come on Wednesday and let people know. But I think we're going to be wrapping up here. Let me give you a preview of what's coming. Do we get to all of our movies?
I think so.
I think we did. No, you know what we didn't talk. Oh my God, we didn't talk about?
Oh, House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon episode 6. I think what we might want to do is we'll do maybe like every other week. We'll do like 2 episodes.
Yeah, but this was kind of a transitional week. Everyone grew up this week.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Patrick Lemire, have they tried to sell to National Geographic, or do they only air in-house projects? I don't know. National Geographic does do acquisitions.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Science Fair is a good movie, and that was definitely an acquisition.
Oh, I loved Science Fair. That was great. Yeah. Loved that film. Thought it was awesome.
It's probably the best thing on Disney Plus right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Wait, where are we? The banners. I can't. All right, there we go. All right, Alan, I think it's time to wrap things up. What a fun show today. So we'll get, you know what? We will talk about Rings of Power and House of the Dragon. It's almost like when you review them, you kind of want to talk about both of them in a way, because one is such a satisfying and fun experience. House of the Dragon this week is insane. I will say that just to talk about it for a second, because look, Alan Orkin says House of the Dragon time jump and recasting was weird. It felt weird for about the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It did feel off in a sense.
I think part of it is, I think it's Allison taking a very different tone in her character, which works. I mean, that's
no, it works. Like, and when you see now the offspring, and they're now people, they're not just children, right? The offspring and kind of like where these rivalries are playing out. Oh my God, so much happened in this episode. Here's what I think it would have been easier, Alan. I agree with you. The time jump recasting was weird. What they should have done is taken a break. They should have done a mid-season break, maybe 2 months. They could have done a trailer for the new half season and then run the next 5 episodes. And I think that the time jump would have felt less weird if there was actual time and space in between. There's so much time jumping in this show. I mean, I personally love it. Like, I actually think it makes the show much more compelling, but the time jump, like, it just felt weird because you replaced some actors, but not all the actors. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts, Alan?
Yeah, I don't know. We're in such a glut for good TV that I'd hate to have a 2-week break. I mean, Lost used to do that, and that used to drive me nuts. But no, I mean, if you have something good and it's in the can, show it. I think the break being.
All right, fine. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I think we got over the break. I think we got over the weirdness.
Well, but it was like halfway through the show, and I'm like, wait, who's that? Wait, she's not with she's with a different dude now. Like, it was just like, it was just confusing.
Well, I think the brunette haired kid, kind of threw me off for a bit, and then I realized, okay, so that happened, because I don't know. I don't remember her ever giving birth to that child.
Yeah, well, I just think that, like, we had to kind of, that this episode was kind of a reset, but it didn't like waste any time. It didn't like wait for you to catch up. It was just like, okay, boom, boom. They're and
it kept the story
children.
Going. It kept the story going. The momentum of the story just kept going, and now things are starting to ramp up even more. And
then we saw Damon's kids.
Oh yeah, that
was just bizarre. First of all, I love it. This was such I don't know, this House of the Dragon just to me gets like better and better. Just I look forward to it. It's like, it's Sunday night. We're sitting down. We're watching House of the Dragon. Let's go.
The sword fighting scene where they're training the kids is so much. I mean, it felt like a direct attack on Rings of Power.
It almost did. Yes, it was so weird that those were like timed, because the Rings of Power, that scene where she's trying to train those 4 men was just embarrassing. Something about it was just so.
And then they outdid it in House of the Dragon.
Yeah. Well, because here's why it was better. During that scene in Rings of Power, when Galadriel, I can't stop saying that. Everybody says Galadriel. I can't. Freaking Gary from Nerdrotic started it. He started it. When she's doing it, she's just teaching them. There's nothing else going on in that scene. The training scene in House of the Dragon, there's all this subtext. There's all this subtext going on, because it's not just about that. It's about much more than that. It's, you've got all these new children, right? The families are becoming more and more separate, more rivals, right? So you've got like Aegon II, Helena, Aemond, and Daron, right? And then you've got Rhaenyra's children. It was just interesting to see, kind of like I have like someone's trying to do like a family flow chart here.
Yeah.
I can't keep up.
Yeah. No, in Rings of Power, just the smugness on Galadriel's face just was the worst.
But one scene has subtext because it's not about the kids fighting.
Yeah.
It's not even about training the kids. It's
about
about
showing off. Yeah.
It's about there are bastards in our midst. There are bastards in our midst, and I'm going to prove it. And that's what that scene was about. It wasn't about the kids training.
Mhm.
And the scene with Galadriel was only about her training. There was nothing else happening in that scene.
Well, it was the statement was she can kick ass. And
oh, by the way, Dempsey, yeah, the fight scene from Rings of Power was eviscerated by Shad from Shadiversity. Yeah, I have his video in my queue. I haven't seen it yet. I just saw the thumbnail. I'm super excited to see it because he's speaking about it from real experience. This guy, like Shadiversity, if you haven't checked out his channel, it's amazing. It's a channel where he just talks about real life weapons and how things were used and what the customs were. And my God, the guy is I mean this in the best way. He's a freak. He just knows everything about these weapons. He should be a consultant on movies. Actually, this guy Shad should be a consultant. They should be paying him to explain it, to make this stuff feel more real. I think audiences would appreciate it. So Olivia Cook is beautiful. I agree. Donnie Blaze, she was amazing. And Scott says, felt like totally different characters. A little bit. Rhaenyra just felt a little maybe too different.
Well, I think Alicent was the same way. She took a very tonal different direction.
Well, I think these women they're growing apart. They were friends when they were younger. They're now growing very much apart and now becoming, you're seeing like they're plotting for the future of their children. I wish Rings of Power was the one that got recast, says Scott. They need a likable Galadriel. If Galadriel is the lead, she's got to be likable. But
they can still do it. They can still recast.
I wonder if the show, they're starting the second season. I wonder if they will replace Morfydd Clark as Galadriel.
I think they need to just cut their losses and just cancel the whole thing. Pay off whoever they need to pay off because they're not going to make any more money with it. They're going to lose money.
Well, they need a real showrunner. I mean, this is the problem with the Disney Plus series. The showrunners they're incredibly inexperienced. I don't know if any of the showrunners came from a place where they had successfully run a previous television show. And from what I've heard behind the scenes, it sounds as if, like they're just bringing in people that they can afford to pay. So they're not bringing in their best.
Well, I mean, Andor has the born filmmakers behind it.
Yeah. Vamp King says Andor is to Kenobi as House of the Dragon is to Rings of Power. 100%. I think we're going to leave it at that. Glanuccio, wishing you and your family safely survive the next couple days. I know it's going to be rough. But I don't know. Play some video games, binge watch some stuff, shelter in place, and crack open a beer. And to everyone in the chat, thank you so much for your super chats today, for your insightful chat questions, for when we bring on the indie filmmakers. That's something that I love to do. I appreciate all of your questions. Who do we have on Friday's show? We have a couple filmmakers on Friday's show. We have, I believe, the filmmakers behind Vesper are on Friday. And then we have some other a lot of filmmakers coming up. The filmmaker, Tommy Avalone from I Love You, You Hate Me. It's a documentary about Barney the dinosaur. You're going to love it. Can't wait. There's a new trailer that's going to drop in a couple of weeks that I cannot wait to talk about that movie. But thank you so much. Subscribe to our channel. If you're not subscribed, go to filmthreat.com. Also, follow us on social media. We are Film Threat on everything. There's even a Film Threat TikTok, which I have not updated in probably a couple months, but that's okay. But I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you also to Alan.
Oh, well, thank you to you, Chris.
Thank you. Just you did the majority of reviews this week.
Yeah.
So there you go. I also
I suppose you're going to be watching.
Wait. We have one last piece of business. Who's going to see Bros? Did we do a vote in the chat? Right now in the chat.
Was there?
Do you guys even want a Bros review on Friday? Let's do this. Alan and I will work it out. I think we worked it out. Alan is going to keep watching.
Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap, and I'm stuck with going to see Bros. Do you want a Bros review? Do you want a Bros review? Yes or no? Yes. What the heck is Bros? Yeah, everybody's saying Chris. Review, yes. Going to see it? No. All right, fine. I will go see Bros. And nobody cares about Bros, but I'll talk about it for like 5 minutes. I like to Mario Drifting 67 says Mario Bros. Saturdays are for the bros. Shucksy says, yes, I want Chris to suffer. Fine. I'm going to go see it.
I saw Hocus Pocus 2 and Avatar. And, yeah.
But fine. Okay. Alan is going to keep watching Quantum Leap. I am going to see Bros. We are going to see you on Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time for our Friday Film Threat live cast. You'll probably hear one of these. A freaking IKEA chair. And with that, you're gonna get more rants. If you watch this channel, you're gonna get rants. And with that, Alan,
let's get out of here.